Good morning, good evening, or good day. Welcome to the Z to Z podcast, the home for Xbox achievement hunters and gamerscore junkies. I am your host, Brandon Freeman. Thank you so much for listening. At Z to Z, we love gaming, and in particular, grabbing achievements and gaining gamerscore. We do news, reviews, and interviews. If it's about achievements, we'll unlock it. We've got a great show this week. The newest member of the 1 Million Gamerscore Club, Redemption Denied, the fifth person on the planet to reach that amazing milestone, joins us. He earned it on his stream last night, not without drama, of course, and we'll ask him about his fantastic run at 1 million. We'll cover the community questions and find out what the future holds. You can find show notes for this show, as well as previous shows, on our website, z2z.com. This is episode 12. You can also contact us with questions and comments on Twitter at Z2Z, that's Z-E-D-T-O-Z-E-D, or you can email us directly, contact@z2z.com. Today's show is brought to you by the achievements Nifty 50 from the game F1 2010. This was a listener nomination from our number one fan, McLovin Legend. This achievement was his, and pretty much everyone else's, last achievement earned for this particular completion. And he joined the ranks as the 411th person, a meager 1.88% completion rate on this game. This throwback annual open-wheeled racing simulator was the first of the series to grace the Xbox 360. This achievement itself is a grindy one, requiring 1 million XP, and that will get you to rank 50. You'll reach rank 25 and earn an achievement at 70,000 XP. So while you're climbing quickly early, that does not last. Go online and set up one-lap races. TrueAchievements.com has some fantastic guides and tips for setting up all the different game conditions for you to grind out these races. You'll earn about 1,500 XP, and when you include load times in that, it's going to take about 2 to 3 minutes per race. So that's 650 races to climb that ladder, and that equates to 25 to 30 hours. So strap in, it's going to be a long ride. Special thanks to developer and publisher Codemasters for that endurance-challenging achievement. And if you, like McLovin Legend, have a suggestion for an achievement that you'd like us to sponsor, then let us know. You can contact us on Facebook, through our Facebook group, Twitter, like I mentioned, at Z2Z, that's Z-E-D-T-O-Z-E-D. Email, contact@z2z.com, or throw it in an iTunes review. There are so many ways to get a hold of us, and you guys never stop surprising me on how many ways you can reach out to us. So with that being said, let me introduce my co-hosts and guests today. We've got Crandy. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing all right, except it's kind of storming outside and my windows are leaking. But that's all right.
What a catastrophe. Board up the windows.
Yeah.
But you're on the West Coast. Why is it raining so bad?
I don't know. It doesn't usually, but it is today.
Then we got Terrigan. How's the weather down under?
Pretty warm, actually. I think we're hitting high 30s Celsius. I'm kind of sweating in my chair at the moment, so it's
it's getting a little warm.
Wait, that's end of summer for you, right?
Yeah, it is.
You're just wrapping up?
Yeah, I think we actually just went into autumn with March, so yeah.
Man, being on the bottom of the earth is weird. I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, and like I mentioned in the top of the show, we've got our very special guest, the newest member of the 1 Million Gamerscore Club. Redemption Denied is joining us today. How are you today?
Not too bad. How's it going, guys?
Fantastic. Are you just glowing in your achievement glory?
Nah, not exactly.
Okay.
I just got home from work. I'm ready to get some food and just
Hold on,
relax.
wait a minute. You hit 1 million Gamerscore and then you had to go to work the next day?
Yeah, I tried to get someone to cover for me on Saturday so I could hit it on that day instead, but no such luck. No one wants to work the weekend, so...
What a bummer. Do people at your job, we'll get into this in the interview, but do people at your job know, like, how much gamer score you have? Are they
not
aware?
Exactly. Like the one guy I work with kind of has a general idea, but yeah, nobody plays Xbox. They're all mostly older people, so yeah, not so much.
Wow, I cannot wait to just delve into your brain. But before we get into that stuff, let's do a couple early show things. Let's start with Crandy's Mug of the Week. Did you end up putting Ray's weird green bread goo in your new mug?
I didn't, because I realized after we recorded the show that I don't have pastry flour, so I didn't make it.
I found this to-go pancake mix. You know, it's like this little plastic cup, almost looks like Easy Mac, right? You add water, stir it up, and make this little pancake thing, essentially. And you throw that in the microwave, and it turns into essentially like a cup-shaped pancake. And it looked exactly like the thing that Ray ate, only it was not green, and it was delicious.
Interesting.
So I'm thinking if I just take that powder, add a little matcha in there, I could make what would likely be high-protein, delicious pancake green goodness.
It'd probably be pretty good. You know, you could get the green tea pancakes. The matcha goes pretty good with kind of sweeter stuff.
So I'll have to find some matcha. But what is the mug of the week this week?
Well, the mug of the week this week is a Sasquatch mug I got when I was in Portland from the Stash Tea Store. So this one doesn't fit so much in the weird category. This is more the cool category. So that one's kind of fun. It's kind of a weird shape.
It's shaped like a Sasquatch? I'll have to see this picture. I'm so confused.
No, it's not. It's not shaped like a Sasquatch. It's got a Sasquatch on it, and then it's kind of got a funky. I don't know how to describe it.
And we're not talking like Harry and the Hendersons Sasquatch, like a little bit more traditional Sasquatch, or
it's kind of like an outline. So he doesn't really have a face. It's kind of in a forest.
Oh, like those naked lady trucker flaps.
What the hell are you talking about?
yeah. That's what it is. That's what it's like.
You know exactly what
Except
those
it's
are.
brown. It's not like a. I mean, I guess those are like silver. So I was gonna say it's not black, but yeah, it's just kind of a brown Sasquatch outline with a little bit of detail and then some trees. It was pretty cool, and it is filled with my favorite Earl Grey tea this week from a local shop in the old country.
Wonderful. Hey, so I was poking around, and I have been seeing a lot of people talking about pulling a Freem with all the Roblox achievements going on. Yep. Turns out that's starting to spread quite a bit. But you're telling me that there is something of that's the opposite of a Freem? How does this work?
Yeah, I saw this on my feed, and I thought, I've got to mention this. Alkaline 92201 mentioned that he's actually upset about the one not giving achievement notifications because he checked today and he'd unlocked the 20 days of Roblox last Friday, and it was he posted that on a Tuesday, so he'd be basically logging into Roblox for an extra 5 days for no reason.
That's just torture.
So I thought, that's sort of the opposite of pulling a Freem.
Right?
And you don't.
That's extra credit.
And you don't want to be logging into Roblox more than you have to.
No, absolutely not. My fun piece of news, I have to mention this, is on March 1st, there was a tweet sent out by Stephen King, the famous horror writer, and it says, "It's official. The man in black fled across the desert and the gunslinger followed. # Dark Tower movie." And then he attached Matthew McConaughey and Idris Elba to it. So I don't know what roles they're playing, but man, this is getting much closer than all the other, Dark Tower movie secret things. Dark Tower series is my favorite series of books. I don't read, and there's a few zombies in here, but it's not a zombie story. Because I read zombie books, but man, I'm so excited. I really hope this is being made this time, because I was super pumped about that Ron Howard TV show they were supposed to make, and that never happened. So I'm crossing my fingers.
Yeah, I'll just hope it's any good, because I don't think there's been really any Stephen King that's been any movies that have been any good. For one reason or another.
Good is relative. We just talked about video game movies for a long time, and they don't have to be good. They just have to be entertaining. So, but we should get a couple of housekeeping things taken care of, Tarragon.
Yeah, the Z2Z website, it used to have comments on it, and there's been a few problems with that of late, and I've opted to actually turn them off. So that is unfortunately no longer a channel that you can contact us through. Obviously, Twitter and True Achievements is probably the better way to go anyway. But yeah, the comments basically weren't giving us notifications, and in fact, we had one person trying to put comments in, and it was just returning an error. So it was a little bit out of my control because it's not that website's actually hosted by our podcast provider, not directly by me. So I've opted to turn that off for now. I guess we'll see if there's a need to turn them back on.
Yeah, but the email address still works. Contact
absolutely,
at
yeah.
Achievement
Yeah.
or at Z2Z.
Yes.
Contact at Z2Z still works.
Yes.
But leaving comments just underneath there does not work.
Yeah,
anymore.
on the episode show notes, there was the option there for
Yeah.
comments, so that's been turned off for now. And just another thing, I sort of thought I'd throw this out there just for, I had a bit of an idea for a new True Achievements leaderboard that I'd like to propose, and I thought I'd just canvass it with you guys first and maybe get feedback from our listeners. Now, I don't really have a name for it as yet, or for the stat, but the idea is that you would take your completion percentage and then multiply it by your gamer score or your True Achievement score, and that would be your stat on this leaderboard. And that would essentially make completion percentage a viable stat as related to gamer score, rather than being getting 100% completion is easy because you can start a new tag and pop in Avatar and get 5 achievements and you've got 100%. Whereas this would require having a high gamer score as well as a high completion. It sort of gives an interesting bit more depth, I feel, to some of the stats. What do you think about that?
Like a weighted completion.
Yeah, it's basically, yeah. So you take, say, if you've got a 50% completion and you've got, say, a million gamer score, you would actually have a 500,000 stat on this particular leaderboard.
Oh, yeah, I got you.
Yeah, so it kind of takes I think it's a balance between there's the high completionists who don't have a lot of games and thus don't have a high gamer score either. They won't get up there. But if you've got a high gamer score and a high completion, then you're at the top of the leaderboards. Obviously, the usual suspects will be up the top anyway. But I think it would certainly shuffle around a lot of the people who basically just try and dump the easy points out of games and don't do completions. Anyway, I thought it was an interesting idea. I just wanted to see what you guys thought about it and maybe what the listeners think too.
I guess the other thing you could do too is use TA score and completion percentage in the same way. Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. You have 2 new leaderboards, one for gamer score and one for TA, based on that on the completion percentage metric.
No, I think that's a good idea, because really, as it is, there's not really a stat that kind of rewards high completion other than completion percentage.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a because it doesn't take into account either games played or overall gamer score. It's a bit flawed on the leaderboard at least.
And you can just make a new account, play 5 games on it, complete them all, and then you're right at the top.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're not right at the top, but you're still pretty high, because you get one achievement you can't earn. Well, that's it. That's like Games Windows Live. I've got 10 achievements I can't get, but I've completed 20-something games. So if I look at completion percentage, even if I was at my max percentage, I'd still be pretty far down, just because so many people have just played a couple games or 5 games or so.
I love the idea. I mean, you're totally right. There does need to be some delineation of, like a weighted type of completion, because there's a lot of people touting their flags of I'm the greatest completionist because I've gotten 100% on 20 games, and you look at somebody like Smirnov, for instance, who's a hardcore completionist. I mean, he's got some serious completions under his belt and jillions of games on his card. That's so much more impressive to me than somebody who can rip through shovelware like nobody's business.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he has more completions on his tag than I have games played. It's just ridiculous.
Right?
Yeah, I think he's up to 1,400 or something now.
Yeah,
it's just
crazy.
Unreal. Yeah, I would love to see some of those numbers fleshed out. I don't know how you do the stat, right? Like you were mentioning, how you do this weighted average or the multiply them out, and what those stats look like. with somebody like Redemption here, who's got an obscene gamer score, how does that? What do those numbers do when you start combining them versus my not so obscene gamer score and relatively low completion? Like, is that going to hurt my feelings?
On that leaderboard, probably, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, it's the only way to go up. Unless I bean dive a bunch of games, then it'll go down.
Yep.
So we should probably move into to our interview here with our special guest, Redemption Denied. So a fantastic night last night. You hosted a stream, and I mean,
attempted to.
It was it happened. It was there. There were a lot of friendly faces, some nice banter in the chat. Congratulations, by the way, on reaching your 1 million gamer score. Loved the screenshots and everything. How do you feel about the whole experience?
I mean, I would kind of was hoping it would go better than it did as far as the stream itself. I mean, I don't know. I had a lot of technical issues, and obviously the end didn't quite work out like I wanted it to. We can get into that later, but I mean, for the most part, it worked out okay. Like, everything I had set up, like, I was able to do, maybe not as quickly as I would have liked to have done it, but I mean, it all worked out relatively well, I guess. I mean, my main issue was just, like, I wanted to do it through the Twitch app, obviously, is, like, the easiest way to do a stream.
Yep.
And, for quality of video, for using, like, a mic and a cam and all that, it works perfectly fine for, most of what you would want to do in a stream. But, they don't show achievements popping, which, of course, is, like, the biggest thing I want to see on my stream. Mm-hmm. So I have to use a capture card. And I've used my capture card several times before, and it's worked relatively fine. But, yeah, definitely was not up to the quality I would have liked, and caused a few more problems than I would have cared for. But it is what it is.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. It didn't even occur to me when I was watching on Twitch that it was a capture card, and then I should have known when I saw the achievement toasts, like, that it should have clued in. So, that's a bummer that it wasn't working. So you clearly had a plan moving into it. How long in advance was this plan enacted? At what point did you say, okay, here's my roadmap to 1 million?
I mean, pretty much after last year's G-Task ended, I was like, I was already somewhere around like 950,000, I think, at the beginning of the year. So I was just kind of like, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and go for it. Because, I've been holding back so much for so many contests in the past, doing the whole preloading nonsense and all that. I was just like, screw that. I'm just going to go full steam ahead and just go for it. And kind of the last couple months when I kind of knew about where I was at was when I started sitting on some stuff like, I mean, it wasn't really anything specific, just, what I usually do. Whatever I felt like I could comfortably sit on, I did, and wasn't really into, like, the last week or two that I tried to specifically look for things I wanted to use for it, so.
Sure, because, I mean, clearly it was important to have those 6 zeros. That is a very pretty looking number. I know a lot of jokes in the chat were saying, the 1,025,000 is what you definitely didn't want to show up.
Right. Yeah,
so
you really did.
Why don't you get into some of that? Let's talk about some of the challenges that presented themselves in the feed.
Well, let's see. I mean, early on, like, I started about maybe 2 p.m. my time. I started off with some Kinect because, I don't know, I had to have one Kinect game in there. So I started off with Just Dance 2016, and that actually worked out surprisingly well for what I wanted to do. Because I was just looking for stuff that was relatively difficult, and I kind of liked the achievement name for it. And that one just caught my eye because there was an achievement called Complete Your Journey, which I thought was appropriate.
And
it's for
good.
Getting first place on all 17 Dance Quests on the hardest difficulty, which is a little challenging. There's like 3 songs per Dance Quest, so it comes out to like 51 songs, and each Dance Quest is kind of like Mario Kart style, I guess, scoring. Like first place 12 points, second place 9 points, and so on.
Oh, yep.
So you got to be first place overall, so you don't necessarily have to get first on each song. You're battling the AI while you're doing this, but you probably need like 2 out of 3. And I'm like, well, I can 5-star pretty much every song on here because I just played these maybe 4 or 5 months ago whenever they came out. Like, I had all the 5-star stuff prepped for G-Task in both versions. So I'm like, I'm familiar enough with these songs that it shouldn't be too bad. So I was doing, 3 or 4 of those a day. Of course, towards the end, they start throwing in some like alternate versions of the songs, which I had never done before. So a few of those were challenging. But yeah, I made sure to practice them, so I just had that last one to do, and I actually managed to do that on my very first attempt. So that was a nice start to it.
Absolutely.
Get a nice named achievement with a nice high ratio. That was, not just one of the random shovelware crap that most of the games were.
Right.
That came later on, but yeah, I'd say the first couple hours went smoothly. Then I started having a lot of issues. I mean, it was mostly just the capture card. I just kept having to constantly reboot it. Like, I was still popping what I wanted to for the most part. Like I said, relatively quickly. There were a few games that took longer than I wanted to, but I don't know. I don't really know what order I played the games in because I was just kind of jumping all over the place.
The one that jumps into my mind was that epic boss battle in Pierre Solar.
Okay, yeah.
That was like, I remember distinctly watching that and thinking, I don't know how much damage you've put into this thing so far, but this is like unbelievable.
Yeah, that was one of the probably 2 or 3 games that I had set up. Like, it's not worth that many points, so it's like, well, if I can't do this, I can drop it and find whatever 30, 45 points somewhere else easily enough. But I wanted to have, one RPG in there, one like final boss fight, against some big boss. But I had never done it before, so I didn't know what I was really getting into on that boss. Sure. So I didn't really, and plus I hadn't played the game in several months, so I kind of forgot like my abilities and spells and what items I had. And I actually got to a point where I had 2 guys killed off, didn't think I could revive them, and was like, yeah, I'm going to fail this. But then I just something just clicked, and I just found a pattern to stay alive, and finally managed to beat that after 30 minutes or so.
That rhythm was impressive, because it was like, I mean, you're just hovering above not death for a while, but still managing to get a cycle of damage in. Right. Like I think I said in the chat, it reminded me of some of the old Final Fantasy X fights I had, in the battle arena or whatever, where it was I was really way too underleveled to be taking them on, and the fights ended up going over an hour, but I just found a way to stay alive, and I was still dealing damage, but I had no idea that the boss had over 1 million hit points or something ridiculous. So right. Yeah. So you get toward the end of your stream here, we're dialing in, and you fire up Ori and the Blind Forest, and that was, I mean, your plan was that was the end, right? That was the 75 you needed? Yeah, I mean, I had to go back a little bit. I had a similar issue that came up at the end, happened earlier as well. I had to reset my stream at one point, and I wanted to make sure I could double check my math, to make sure, obviously, that I was still going to hit it on the nose. And I mean, I'd been checking this for several days, weeks even. Right. So, I mean, I knew my math was right. I knew, I had 23 games set up to do in this one stream. I knew I had exactly the amount of gamer score prepped that I wanted to hit, the last, whatever it was, 3,600 points with. But when I checked it, when I was restarting everything to try to get the stream solid or whatever, I noticed I was 40 points short of my mark. I'm like, I don't know what happened there. I know my math is right, but I'm missing 40 points somewhere. And I'm like, maybe it's a done unlocking thing, but I've seen all my achievements pop, so I have no idea where this 40 points is. Right. So I'm like, well, according to my dashboard, Xbox.com, TA, they all have my score at this number. So I'm like, whatever. You know what? I'm just going to get the 40 points somewhere else. I'm sure it'll pop up at some point, but I can't be worried about that now. All I care about is seeing the million pop on my dashboard, Xbox.com, TA, all those sites. So, right. So, okay, whatever. I got the 40 points somewhere else. I can't say that that's ever happened to me before, but I don't know. I don't really pay that close attention, I guess, to exactly what my gamer score is at all times to know if I'm missing a few points here or there. Sure. But that I mean, were you nervous that things were going to start getting goofy? And yeah, I mean, I was kind of nervous the whole way because obviously, like I said, with 23 games I'm bouncing between, and as many times as I've done the whole preloading thing, something always goes wrong or takes longer than I expected or doesn't pop or whatever. But my whole thing was well, if anything does go wrong, as long as I know I'm 75 points away with Ori and the Blind Forest left to play, I know I'm good, right? Right. Right. So we come down to that finale, and I'm even then I was still a little bit cautious because I'm
there is one achievement that is known to be a little bit glitchy in that game, or at least it was originally.
Right.
Because the last 3 were like, you had to beat the game under 3 hours without dying, without using a skill point. And I guess the one for not using a skill point was kind of glitchy. Like if you had another save that you'd use skill points on, it might not pop it for some reason, but I'm pretty sure they patched it. So I was like, yeah, that one might not pop and I might have to do something else, but I'm relatively sure it's going to pop. So I felt fairly confident about it. I even made a joke in the chat, like, and before they all don't pop, all 3 of them don't pop, and I'm just left here 25 points short. Finally get to the end, all 3 of them pop just like I wanted, and then I pull out to the dashboard, and I'm still 25 points short.
It just blew me away. I'm like, because I watched it happen. I'm like counting 1, 2, 3. There it is.
Yep.
Right. Congrats.
Everyone's congratulating me in the chat. I'm like, well, this is awkward.
So there's a mad scramble now. Were you, so the chat was like trying to help out as best we could, trying to find some things. Did you use any of those suggestions, or how did Alien Isolation come up?
That was just random.
You found it and knew you could get stuff?
I didn't know what to use at that point. I was just like still trying to figure out what happened, because like I said, I really haven't had that happen to me before. I had achievements pop and not have them add to my score. Like I said, I've had the done unlocking thing. I've had other issues, but I've never actually noticed that happen before. Now it's happened twice in the same day.
I've actually had that happen one time on Windows 10.
Okay.
Where the achievements all popped up, they scanned into TA, but the gamer score wasn't there.
Huh.
Super weird.
So your TA score went up, but your gamer score did not?
Yeah, so TA recognized the score because I had the achievements, but I think what TA does is it scans your actual gamer score. It doesn't scan based on the achievements it shows as unlocked. So it'll pull whatever Xbox.com says for your gamer score. Now, I don't know if this is right. This is just what I've observed. And it's not based on what they have, but the TA score is based on what they have. So my TA score shot way up. Gamer score stayed the same. The achievements were all unlocked at the correct times, but the gamer score didn't show up until like 2 days later. Super weird.
Right. Yeah, Redemption, did you get what are you sitting at right now? Are you still sitting at 1 million? Or did you play today?
I played a little bit today, and then those other ones didn't eventually show up. But yeah, someone else in the chat was saying they had similar issues, and they had to like load up the 360 dashboard or something, like some other, and I don't know, because it's weird too, because like you were saying, how like TA scans it differently, because like I'm looking at Xbox.com, it's showing the same score as TA, which is showing the same score as my dashboard, which is all 25 points short. But then someone's like, well, if you go into your stats on TA and you go all the way down, and it shows like how much gamer score you have out of how much available in the games you've played, that was actually over 1 million already. Like that had actually counted the missing whatever it was, 65 points.
Sure.
Yeah, so I'm like, well, they're clearly on there. They're just not not where I want them to be. So
bizarre. So Alien Isolation, you finished the 1 million. How did that moment feel? Was that, you finally hit it despite all the hurdles along the way. Was there some satisfaction? How, what was going through your mind at that point? Were you just so tired?
No, just extremely disappointed, more or less. Than
Well, that's a bummer.
Just all the technical issues and just that. Like I said, if that issue would have happened, and like I said, it did happen earlier, and I was able to correct it, like just for that to happen at literally the worst possible moment, like
yeah.
And that's okay. Like I said, I just wanted to do it with a proper game more than anything else. I didn't really have anything earmarked ahead of time, at least not until like the last week or two, because it's like, you're trying to think of, well, I want to do it with a good game, something I enjoy, something where the achievement name might be good. I'm not that concerned about that, though. Those are harder to find, and something relatively difficult. You don't just want to do it with, some random indie game for the last 100 points or whatever.
Sure.
So that was what I had. I had those 2 games earmarked. I had that one, and I had The Evil Within, because that was like might be one of the most difficult things I've done. Was like beat the Evil Within on a Kumu difficulty, which is like 1-hit kills.
Jeez.
I spent most of the week working on that. Might get into that a little bit later, but
right.
Yeah. And I wanted like a survival horror game towards the end too. That's why I was using The Evil Within, and that's why I ultimately just decided with Alien Isolation, because survival horror has always been my favorite genre. So it's like, well, even if the achievement isn't that difficult, even if it isn't what I wanted, at least it's a decent game and survival horror. So, and whatever. Technically speaking, I still did do it with Ori. The points just whatever didn't add up correctly. So yeah,
right. That's a bummer. Well, it must have been nice though to see that the positive feedback you got from people. I mean, there's a lot of people in your stream and some tweets and retweets going out about just congratulating you on your your milestone. It's a great milestone. It's so awesome. I mean, I can only dream about getting a gamer score that high. So,
well, the more indie games that come out, the less meaning it really has. So.
That's true. But you're, fifth person to do it, second person in the United States. I mean, that's very lofty company. So, congrats to that. But why don't let's get to know you as a person a little bit more. I mean, you want to tell us a little about yourself. What do you do for work? What does a person who has a million gamer score do for a job?
Well, let's see. My name's Marshall. Obviously, I live in Illinois. 32 years old. I've been working at a hospital in the surgery and materials department for probably about 8 years now or so. Yeah, I do second shift. I do 10-hour shifts, which is I don't mind it. It has its pros and cons, but it is kind of nice only working 4 days a week, having 3 days off.
Right.
Can't really complain about that. I work every other weekend. Like I mentioned, I had to work today and have to work tomorrow, but our weekends aren't too bad at the hospital because what I deal with the surgery department. They don't generally do too many surgeries on the weekends, so my work is not that bad.
Lighter.
Yeah,
cool.
I can usually get away with some more phone games and whatnot.
So, speaking of games, then how did you get into gaming? What was your what was kind of the carrot on the stick for you? You've been playing pretty much your whole life, like most of us, or how'd that come about?
Yeah, I would say so. Grew up on Nintendo, like probably most people my age. Played that mostly growing up. Moved on to same general consoles: Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. I played a lot of different ones, that friends or cousins owned, all the Neo Geo, Jaguar, TurboGrafx 16, all that good stuff. So yeah, I've definitely all my brothers. I have 3 older brothers, and they all played as well, but I was always by far the biggest gamer out of everybody. So
sure. Are they on Xbox at all? Where's their gamer score at?
No, not
care?
At all.
They all gave up?
My brother closest to me is the only one that even relatively games, and even not that much. He owned a PS4 and then he sold it. I think he's going to get a Steam box or something. So
sure. So where did Redemption Denied come from? How'd that gamer tag come about?
That's originally from it's a level in Doom. That was probably definitely one of the games I've spent the most time playing growing up over different various versions. Like I said, I think I played it on the Jaguar. I think most of it I played on the original PlayStation. They had some kind of compilation disc that had Doom 1, Doom 2 on it, and it had a bonus level that was added. I think it was only in that version, and that bonus level was Redemption Denied, and for whatever reason that just kind of stuck with me. And I guess cool. I think the first time I made a online gaming profile on GameFAQs or something, that's what I used, and that's what I've pretty much always used online since then.
Are you looking forward to the new Doom?
Yeah, I would say so. I don't think I ever played Doom 3, but I don't know.
Doom 3 was always a little different.
Yeah.
I liked it, but it definitely was not like the old school Doom.
Right. I think if it would have had 1,000 gamer score, I would have been a little bit more inclined to play it.
Yeah.
Right.
I know, that kind of put me off it too, because I was excited when it came out, and then I was like, oh, it's only 600 points and I have to beat both games.
Right.
Because I really like Doom 3, but I really did not like Resurrection of Evil.
Okay.
So it was like...
So, I thought about holding off for that too, because I was like, well, my gamer tag originated from that. Maybe that'd be a good game to do it with. Same with Quantum Break or one of these The Division, some other good games coming out. But I was like, I just wanted to get it over with.
That's awesome.
Did you get a chance to play the alpha?
No, I generally stay away from alphas and betas. If I can't get achievements in it, I'm generally not that interested.
Yeah, that's fair.
Does that level in Doom have the E in it? Or is that also missing from the level code name?
No, it has it. That's just a 15-character limit on Xbox. That's the only reason
why. Oh, that explains it, because
right.
I'm going to share the sentiments of Big L here. He tweeted into the show saying that the missing E just kills him, and I'm the same way.
I could see that. I mean, to be fair, if I tried to put the full thing in, it probably would not have been available, so who knows?
It could be. Yeah, he also says you should go outside now, by the way.
Yeah, but outside is overrated.
You work second shift. Have you seen the sun? I mean, does the sun exist in your world?
Yeah, when I drive into work, that's about it.
Oh, there you go. Nice. So, back to your kind of gaming start. Do you remember how you got into achievements? Was there anything in particular that kind of spurred your interest, or how'd that come about?
Obviously, yeah, achievements were never even on my radar when I bought a 360. I played PlayStation 2 primarily. It was the first console I actually bought with like my own money, and I was, just convinced I was going to get a PS3 the whole time. And my friend owned an Xbox, the original Xbox, and we played, Halo 1 and Halo 2 like all the time because,
right.
That's how you play games when you're growing up. You play split screen. That's the only way you can play co-op. So we played, the hell out of those games. And, that's pretty much all we really played on his Xbox. I don't really think he cared for the original one too much because we were, kind of casual gamers at that time. So I knew he wasn't going to get a 360. And, then obviously the PS3 came out. It was whatever, like $500-600. Like, well, I'm way too casual of a gamer to be dropping that much money on a new console. So kind of held off. And then, about the time Halo 3 came out, and I knew that he wasn't going to be getting that. So I was like, well, I'll go ahead and pick up a 360 so we at least have that to play. And then, started popping some achievements. And I was like, I don't know really what these are, but this is kind of cool, getting little recognitions from your accomplishments. I like this. This is something I've always wanted. And then it just kind of took off from there. I mean, I don't know. I didn't really get into the achievement hoarding for a little while. I mean, I started off with, I was pretty much a diehard completionist when I first started for probably the first, I'd say 4 years. I think I was at like maybe 300,000 with like a 99% completion rate.
Wow.
So yeah, I definitely did my fair share of grinds and just dumb stuff in there. And then I started getting involved in all the scoring competitions, and that kind of went by the wayside a little bit. Like I still like my completions, but I'm not a diehard by any means anymore. So yeah.
What's more important to you? Would it be getting a high gamer score, or would you rather having all your completions? Like what's
I'd still favor
between the one.
Yeah, I'd still favor gamer score just because it's always been the most recognizable thing. And obviously I've been letting these dumb competitions dictate how I play so much, and they're always about, the most score you can put up. So
yep. Right.
There's a lot of completions I could go back to that wouldn't take that long, but I just don't care that much about them anymore.
So speaking of these gamer score competitions, you are the winner of last year's individual contest because of the ridiculous amount of preloading that you did. How long did it take you to set all that up?
Quite a while. I was pretty much prepping from basically when the last year's competition that I did, the last year's GSL, as soon as that ended. And then I was like I say every year, I'm done with competitions. I'm going to quit. I'm not going to do it anymore. And then I think Oriole, who had won the previous year's G-Task, asked me to join up with him and said they were going to, go for the win again. I was like, well, if I can team up with somebody that I know is actually going to try, then sure, why not? I'll give it a go. And then I saw the individual side got added on, and then I was like, okay, now I'm all in. So yeah, pretty much probably early January, I pretty much had that mindset. I mean, I wasn't doing it the whole year. I was still playing games I enjoyed here and there, but I just always had that mindset, like whatever I can set up at the end, I'm just going to sit on it. Like even if it's not worth that many points, it's always, quantity over quality sometimes.
Right. Did you have a spreadsheet going? How did you track all this? I picture this just crazy ratted notepad where you just scribble things down and then in this game I've got 25 gamer score just sitting there ready to go. And
you're pretty much spot on. The Notepad doc. Notepad docs is what I pretty much use to keep most of my notes because that's one lesson I've learned doing it as much as I have to try to. You always want to make notes. You always want to try to talk to your future self. If there's anything I've actually had to sit here and say, how do I do this? I should probably make a note of it because I'm going to forget, 9 months from now where I am or what I'm supposed to be doing. And there's actually a feature on TA as well that I'm sure a lot of people are aware of, especially after I think it was Facial Lafleur does his to-do list challenge thing on TA. That's fairly popular. And I joined up with that once, and then I kind of clicked on me. The to-do list feature is actually really, really handy for what I'm doing to, keep an actual active tally of everything I have prepped, and know exactly how many points there are, because obviously the TA is going to fluctuate throughout the year. So it gives me a pretty good idea of what I'm sitting on.
Yeah, I just noticed that in my games collection with the little add note thing there, and I totally forget to use that. Because I assume with so much preloading that you do, you run into the same issue of, well, like you said with Pierre Solar, you get to a point, you had worked all the way up, you understand the game mechanics, and now you have to revisit it 9 months later, and you're like, oh my god, what's the jump button again?
Right, exactly.
Is that just this constant battle trying to remember those types of things?
Yeah,
so,
it can be tricky. I mean, sometimes not so much for GTASC. I mean, a couple of the cutoffs are a little bit dicey, but I mean, more so for previous competitions where there was a constant, last second scramble for points or whatever. But for what I did last year, it really wasn't that bad because I have a full week to do everything I'd done, and I actually had more than enough time to, even for the stuff that took me way longer than it should have. So it wasn't too bad.
Absolutely. So we had been kind of talking on the show about, tracking the top people, that there were probably going to be 3 people this year who are going to cross that 1 million threshold, and you did it first. You overtook Randall Thor earlier this year. Was that a goal of yours? Did you care? Were you just doing it independently? How is your relationship there?
I believe we've messaged back and forth. I think we're on good terms. Yeah, I mean, I was basically just going full steam ahead. Like I said, I was just kind of doing what I do, just trying to get there as fast as possible. 100% believe he could have easily beat me there if he really wanted to. He's never done the Japanese console, PAL console stuff. He could have blown way past me if he wanted to. But I think he's got something bigger in store for his 1 million, hopefully.
Sure.
So he's kind of hinted at it before, so.
Yeah, there have been some hints dropped. I recall seeing those as well. And he visited the stream. I saw his name in chat a few times, so that was pretty darn cool.
Yeah.
So now that you've hit your 1 million, right? What do you do next? What happens now? You said you dabbled a little bit this morning. Are you taking a little bit more of a break? I mean, you're in GTASC again this year, aren't you?
Yeah, I still got that in the back of my mind. Still haven't really fully committed to that or not. I mean, it's kind of interesting because I'm actually teamed up with the guys that won last year, the Straight Up Gankers team, Mephisto, Madai Padai, and Rogue, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously we got some high expectations. I'm sure all the, targets are on our backs to repeat because everyone expects us to. But then at the same token, it's after all we did last year to win, them to win the team and me to win the individual, is are we really going to go through all of that again just to win the exact same prize and get a second hoodie? I don't know.
Right.
We'll
so
see.
It's the prestige, though. The prestige of winning.
Right.
The back-to-back.
Right. Yeah.
Has anyone back-to-backed it yet? I don't think so.
I don't believe so, no. I don't think most teams don't generally stick together, from one year to the other. Usually one person takes a break, and that's usually how I am. I usually take at least a few months off before I kind of get that itch to want to do another competition.
Right.
Because it is kind of nice. Give you that extra little motivation to keep putting up points, keep playing new games, It's the new Barbie game is out. Why would I play that? Well, it's going to help my team out this week, so that's my excuse. Yeah.
I was very excited about the new Barbie game. I've still yet to play it, though. I'm waiting until I'm going to do a kind of a post-GRA just ratio dive. I've got Barbie, I got My Horse and Me, some other goodies in there too.
Monster High.
Yeah, I got to get Monster High, but that's planned.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I've done that one. I've done them all, sadly.
So with all these, various accolades and things that you've been a part of, what is your proudest gaming moment? Do you have one?
I mean, I guess the obvious is getting to 1 million gamer score. Yeah, probably second would be winning the GTASC individual, I guess. The stuff that kind of stands out.
So, and among all those games, I mean, how many games are on your card right now? Do you know?
I think it's 12, 25, 26, something like that.
What is just the worst one on there? What is the most tedious, awful game that you have on your card?
Tedious is different. I guess I could go a different way with that. But worst game is, no brainer. Let's cheer. Does not even, nothing comes close to that. I mean, there's plenty of embarrassing, everyone always says Hannah Montana or Barbie or, My Horse and Me Too gets thrown around, but nothing touches the Kinect games. You just, if there was ever any kind of video evidence of me, dancing around in my living room or doing some of those cheers, I would have to burn it all immediately. There's just, nothing but shame about that kind of stuff. I mean, thankfully it was relatively a quick game, but yeah.
I was considering that one for my my ratio dive. Do you recommend it? To go in line with all these other previously mentioned games.
Yeah. I mean, like I've said to everybody, it's, it depends on, I think you're way more of a completionist, so it's like, I mean, the game is definitely completable. It's not that long. It's one of those, like, anybody can get 700 points in that game in, like, an hour with very minimal skill. But to get the full 1,000, I think, took me, like, another 2 hours. And I think I sacrificed, quite a bit of my soul while I was doing it. So, so you have to, like, 5-star some routines or something. And the tracking is not that great. And you're just doing it over and over again. And you're just like, what am I doing with my life?
You question your entire life and what you've done up to that point.
Like, where did it all go wrong? Like, I used to play games for fun. What am I doing?
Now I'm playing Let's Cheer for Kinect.
Yeah.
For gamer score.
That's funny.
Exactly.
Oh, I'll have to consider that one, but maybe I'll pass.
That's perfect. That was one of the questions that Spazpol reached out to us, was what your most shameful achievement or game is. Does that fit there, where you question your livelihood and just sit and ponder, what am I doing with my life?
Definitely. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of embarrassing Kinect games, but that one is far and away the worst because the Just Dance games are good for what they are, and some of the other stuff, I guess the Just Dance Kids games would probably be right up there with Let's Cheer, because you're dancing along with like 10 and 11-year-old children,
right?
And you kind of feel like a creep while you're doing it. Yeah, it's good times.
Absolutely. A couple of Twitter questions we had. McLovin Legend said, he's like, so what is your proudest completion or achievement? And he was disappointed he couldn't stay up for the whole stream. And not to be outdone, Big L said, anything, not to overshadow McLovin, but what are your 2 proudest completions or achievements? And in that same regard, JQ 1017 is also wondering about, you had mentioned, you used to be a completionist. You kind of did gamer score more now, but what was that completion that you really liked? Either proud or most challenging.
Yeah, it's hard to come up with them too, especially like I said, when you've played every easy game under the sun, and I've been chasing gamer score for so long, and it's like, there's some that have been challenging, but they're not really that challenging. Some of them are just grinds, they're just time investments, so it's kind of hard to pick out ones that you're like genuinely proud of, I guess. But I don't know. I mean, I guess most challenging completion, I would probably put, kind of have a Kinect theme going here, I guess. The Wipeout games. Like, those games were probably the most physically demanding Kinect games I played by far.
Here.
Yeah, like if you've ever played them, like they're really not that long of a completion, if you can manage it. Like, you can probably do, a couple of them within like 15 hours or so. It's just the fact that the game is literally just nonstop running in place, jumping, and ducking. And like within 30 minutes tops, you're just dripping with sweat and your legs are just aching and you can't go anymore.
Well, and of course the tracking, you could do everything right and it still biffs up on the tracking, and you grab a ring that you weren't trying to, or
exactly
bounced into something you weren't trying to.
Yeah, right. Not a lot of people can put up with those. Like, I think shout out to like NBA Kirkland, I believe, has actually completed that entire series, which I did not have the patience to keep up with those.
I kind of want to do it now that he set the bar. I finished 2 and 3, and I've got Crash Course, whatever that one that was called, Create and Crash.
There you go.
But
I never did that one. But
they're just miserable.
Yeah, I would say if I'm gonna go second completion, like if I'm gonna go with like a non-Kinect game, I would go. I'd probably pick MX versus ATV Untamed, which is kind of a random one, but it's one of those, like Very difficult game. It's one of the 360 games that, actually has over 4,000 TA and is not a Kinect game. So that kind of tells you something,
Dang.
Seeing those, 4,000 TA on Xbox One isn't that whatever, free to plays and trial games, everything's over 4,000. But to have a 360 game that high, it's pretty difficult. And yeah, that one definitely took some patience.
Sure. We got a question from JStriker416. Said, if you could trade in your gamer score for money at a conversion rate of 1 gamer score equals $1, would you? And I will go so as far as to add, you would be wiped off of the history books if you did this trade. So no one would know you'd had the million, but you'd be a millionaire.
Oh please, I'd do it for $100,000, just like that. So
fake internet points don't do it for you. You want the real hard cash.
Let's add another thing. You could not hunt achievements anymore if you cashed in.
Oh,
would
please,
you still do it?
Yes, rid me of this, please.
Even for 100,000?
Oh my God, I'd probably do it for $10,000 to be honest.
That's funny. Well, so speaking of that, a question from Joe Angel SK. Says, well, how do you find all the time to do all this and the money to have all these games? I mean, if you're willing to sell your gamer score for money, I mean, I can't imagine you're just rolling in funds to buy all the new games.
No, I definitely don't make a lot of money at my work, but I've been, I'm usual fairly reasonable when it comes to spending my money. I'm I'm single, I don't have any kids, I don't have any pets, so obviously that helps quite a bit as far as time and money available. But yeah, I've definitely spent a lot more than I would have cared to, since indie games came out. But prior to that, in the 360 days, I almost never bought retail games at full price. If I did, I would always flip them and sell them. I'm not a collector at all. I would only buy digital stuff if it was on sale. I was always very cheap. I probably only owned maybe 5 games at a time. I think I'm a little bit more fortunate too. I know, a lot of people have access to GameFly or something similar to that, but I'm, probably one of the few people that still has access to an actual, proper video rental store that's less than a mile away from my house that actually has a very good selection of games. They have probably over 100 360 games, probably over 50 Xbox One games that I can go and pick up at any time. So yeah, I haven't paid full price for a retail game since probably Dead Space 3.
That's interesting. I didn't realize brick and mortar rental stores still existed. That's fascinating.
But yeah, we've got this family video chain. I think it's kind of all over the Midwest a little bit. Not sure how many of them there are, but yeah, it's definitely helped me save quite a bit of money in my time. As well as, trading games with some people, especially when you get into the whole import game nonsense, being able to trade some of those games with people definitely helps save some money.
Absolutely.
I've got a couple brick and mortar rental places around me too. They're not quite that close, but I do walk by them from time to time. I've never actually gone inside though, so I don't know. Maybe I should check them out.
Yeah.
And a funny thing too is there are actually a couple Blockbusters that still exist. I learned the other day. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
There were a couple. I know there's a couple in Alaska for sure, and then there may be a few others because I guess the company still exists. It didn't completely go away. And then the few franchisees that still were making a profit were allowed to continue to operate or something. So that's kind of a fun fact about Blockbuster is that there's still a couple around.
Why wouldn't you change the name of your store? I mean, it's not like Blockbuster carries the greatest,
But it has that nostalgia factor of
brand
Blockbuster.
Recognition, I guess.
Because it still does, even though it went away. I mean, everyone knows Blockbuster, and now especially if you saw a Blockbuster, wouldn't you just want to go inside?
Well, now it's like a freak show. Yeah, I'm definitely curious.
Well,
what's in there?
But that's the thing is if I saw a Blockbuster, I'd be like, I just want to go rent something. I don't even care what it is. I just want to go rent something from Blockbuster.
I used to go there all the time.
Yeah.
The newest 2006 movie, in the new releases, you get Notting Hill or something. I'm trying to remember when that place shuttered.
They tried to do it. They tried to match Netflix at one point, I think.
Yep.
because
Yeah,
they
did
had their own
Blockbuster.
mailing service. I actually switched over to them for a little while because like I had one on the way to work. I had one, and they actually had a deal where like you could rent movies to their mailing service, drop off their movies in store, and like get a free rental right there on the spot. And I was like, well, that's too good to be true.
Yep.
And of course, probably 3 months
It
later, they
was.
did away with that, and they
Yep.
kept raising their rates, and yeah.
I totally did the same thing. It was great.
Oh,
yeah, well, and I think what happened, I think it was Dish that bought them or something. And then that's when they started getting into streaming, I think. But it was already too late, where Netflix had way too much market share, and then nobody could compete with Netflix. And then that was the end.
They made a joke of that on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I don't know if you guys watched that show at all, but the main guy, Peralta, thought he had his rich uncle, and he's like, my rich uncle left me his inheritance. Like, I'm going to be just flooded with money. It's all in this envelope. Let's just see what he left me. And he pulls it out, and he goes, I got 1 million shares of Blockbuster Entertainment. And everyone's like, no! Just worth nothing.
Nice.
So let's get back on topic here.
I had one more quick note as far as just like saving money goes. Like, again, this might be something common sense, but I don't know. I don't know if everybody does it, but it's like, keep your eye out for like just sales. Like even like digital cards will go on sale, more often than you'd think. Like, especially, follow sites like whatever, like Cheap Ass Gamer on Twitter or whatever. They always post those kind of sales. Like, if I can't find anything else, I usually go with like my go-to is like Best Buy. Almost always has that deal where it's like you can get the three $15 cards and the $5 card added on for $45. It's like whatever,
Yep.
You save 10% on basically every purchase, like right off the bat, right there. So
Absolutely. Yeah, what they had today, oh man, and I still might go and do it, but Assassin's Creed Rogue for $10, and then with Gamers Club it's like $8, and I'm like, oh my god. But I feel like that's going to be a Blackwards compatible title. Something tells me that it's coming up, and I'm going to be so pissed when I can just download it digitally. Do you prefer digital or physical? How do you like your content?
I mean, digital is obviously more convenient, but I still definitely prefer physical because, like I said, I am fairly cheap. I like to play as many games as I can, and I don't have that much expendable income. And yeah, it's definitely way cheaper for me to either rent games or flip games on eBay and whatnot. So,
right.
Yeah.
Do you have any of like those white whale achievements? The ones that just you want real bad, but are just right out of your grasp, or anything you've been trying for that you're just not quite there yet?
No, I mean, nothing I really care about anymore, but I guess, probably back when I was a diehard completionist, there were definitely a few that I tried and just couldn't manage on my own. I think one that probably stands out is the last one in Boom Boom Rocket. I think it's called Sore Thumb Award for doing like 5 laps on endurance on hard mode or something, and I kept trying to try, and I was just determined to beat that game. I shouldn't have even put it on my card, but I got like those like 5 free arcade games that just that came with that particular console I bought, and like, oh, I can get achievements in this game, and then I was like, oh, I actually want to complete all these games, and yeah, some of them are just terrible completions, and that was definitely one of them.
Jeez.
Yeah, I know a lot of people have a couple achievements left in Boom Boom Rocket, or just have one and then just realized it was impossible, and then
right. It's like maybe you could do it with one of those like rigged guitars or something. I don't know, but
it's one I've always kind of had on my radar, but I haven't played it enough to kind of determine how hard it really is, because I'm kind of a big fan of the music games, but I don't know. I got to play that one a little bit more.
Sure. So Montana 97 wants to know, what do you do to relax other than game? Do you have any other hobbies? Anything that tickles your fancy?
Well, let's see. First off, you're implying that gaming actually relaxes me.
I suppose.
I don't know. I play poker with my friends. I like, fantasy football. I've always been kind of a stats nerd. Kind of why I'm into achievements, I guess.
Right.
I watch a lot of Netflix, usual shows as most people, not nearly as much as I used to since I game way more than I watch TV anymore, but play some Frisbee golf here and there when the weather's nice enough to get out.
That's awesome. Yeah, you're just like me. That's fantastic. Except You're what I want to be. The single, and yeah.
It's funny. It's funny you should say that. That's what I tell my friends usually. That one, because all my friends are married. They usually have kids and whatnot. They generally look down on me, and I'm like, yeah, I kind of see your point. Like, yeah, you really wouldn't want to live my life, but I can guarantee you would love to live my life for 2 or 3 weeks out of the year, where you could just
bingo. That's exactly it.
Play video games whenever you want, watch whatever you want, eat whatever you want, have no responsibilities.
That's like spring break, right? That's my spring break right there.
Exactly.
So Mad Eye, Pad Eye, and Johnny Zarpentine have similar questions and saying, what? So you hit your goal. What's next? Do you have another goal lined up? Are you want to be the first to 2 million? Are you doing anything, or do you have anything in mind, or you're just gonna revel in being a million gamer score owner?
Yeah, nothing really that specific. I joked around like, the road to 1 billion starts now, but yeah, no, that's not realistic.
Oh man, that would be amazing.
Yeah, like I said, maybe I'll keep going for the competitions. Maybe I'll just drop those and go back to being a completionist. But yeah, I've got nothing specific. I mean, I guess the next obvious one would be 1,000 completions. I think I'm at like 806 right now, something like that. So
pretty
I mean, that'll come with time.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being a part of the show. This was it's just fantastic to look at your gamer score and just think, holy cats, that's a huge freaking number. I cannot believe how high that's been. So it's got to feel pretty good to, get some recognition and just reach that milestone. Now not that you're going to just game for fun. Does that even exist anymore for you, gaming for fun?
Yeah, I would say so. I still play lots of stuff I enjoy playing. Like I said, I love the survival horror games, big into the shooters and all that. I still play a lot of stuff I like. I mean, there is, definitely some stuff I tend to avoid or put off longer than I probably should, just because I know it's going to take longer than I would care for. But
sure,
yeah, I still play lots of stuff I enjoy.
That's awesome. Well, we thank you for being a part of the show, and keep up the great work and hunting those damn achievements. Track those things down. So, all right. Well, let's move into listener feedback and questions from our awesome community. Thank you again for sending in your questions for Redemption. But these are questions and reviews and things to the show, like this iTunes review we got from Cooper out in Australia. He says, great job, Terrigan, Brandon, and Crandy. I like the format of the show. Special guests. It's fantastic. Shout out to Brandon. Is that a new mic? You sound a lot better on this podcast. Keep it up, and I look forward to hearing more. Also, I can't seem to get this on my podcast player on my Windows phone. I can't help you with that. But yes, it is a new mic. I got a couple of mics now. And the other podcast he's referring to is the Achievement Hounds podcast, which I got my start on. So yeah, now I'm rocking this fantastic mic that Terrigan hooked me up with, and I got a Blue Yeti sitting over in my workroom. So I think it's working. I mean, it makes my voice sound a little bit better, maybe a little more professional. I don't know.
It's great for mixing the audio afterward. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, and I'm recording in my basement, which is like this just sound dampening hellhole. And there's like piles and piles of clothes for like a garage sale, and my father-in-law's clothes are all over the place, so they just suck up all the sound. It's great. But enough about technical podcast stuff. Terrigan, we got a bunch of thanks. Let's just give a quick shout out to all the people who gave us a big thumbs up.
Yeah, so these are people who sort of retweeted us or just gave us sort of a thanks, love the podcast kind of comment. So Johnny Zarpentine gave us a retweet again, which is great. Thank you. Frank Hardy, which we mentioned, was the religious listener from last week. He gave us just a thanks for the shout out. Hickster, so that'd be Hickster off, Hickster, Mike. He just said he loves the show, keep up the good work. He also mentioned that he would help out with our regional project as well. So I've already reached out to him about that.
Awesome.
So we'll set something up there. I'm actually thinking, Crandy, we might get that started again sometime next week. So we've got a couple of people now who are interested in working on it. So maybe we can.
Sure, that'd be good. Do you know? I was thinking, is it possible to set that up on our website? Can we have that so people can go to the website and kind of look at it? You know, let's say embedded on a page or something.
I'm not sure that we can embed it. We can certainly link to it. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. I'm not sure.
Because I'm
That'd be a great place for it, though.
I'm thinking we definitely, if we're going to start it up again, we should have it accessible for our listeners and whoever else wants to look at it. Really.
Yeah. Well, certainly it can be linked in show notes and on our blogs and so forth if it can't be put onto ZZ directly. But certainly we can put a text-only post up there for that reason. And lastly, I was Chuggy Beggs on Twitter. Jason Bennett is a new follower, so hello, welcome. And that was about it for the general thanks. Now, just on Facebook, we actually got a comment as well. Just when I literally 2 minutes after I published the podcast last week, I got a response back there just saying, you always seem to know when I'm awake and you needed something to listen to. So that was from Harley Wayne on Facebook, so thanks for that. Glad that we've got something for you to get you through the insomniac hours, I guess.
Right, the waiting hours of the night. Yeah, I got a TA private message, a True Treatments private message from the Yiddler. And he said, hey, just wanted to say I listened to this show from the beginning, and it's already at the top of my podcast listening pile. Keep up the good work. That is what we like to hear, because I had mentioned before, I am a month behind on all my stuff, but Z to Z gets top billing when a new one shows up. Now that screws up my entire playlist, because I have
just love hearing the sound of your own voice.
Well, I need to make sure I didn't screw anything up too badly. And then all the weird stuff that you sneak into the show that I have no idea was recorded, like all those outtakes at the end after you listen to the credits where, like, I say just random horrible things. And, yeah. Well, not horrible, but I certainly say random things.
It's always good to listen to yourself a couple times because you're generally always your biggest critic. So
Absolutely. Your voice sounds terrible.
Oh, yeah.
So I had a comment from McLovin Legend, our biggest fan.
Maybe
he seems to be questioning Duck Dynasty.
Yeah, I think that was in response
on Twitter.
To the games to movies or shows to games. Question.
Yeah, shows to games. And so the thing with Duck Dynasty is I see. It's one of those games, I really love those kind of games that are just a disaster, like Duck Dynasty. I got that game the day it came out. Fantastic, horrible game. I wouldn't
go that far. I mean, maybe it's because I've played every unbelievably terrible game under the sun. I don't think it was that bad. I thought, right about the same line as like the Cabela's games. It wasn't terrible.
I mean, it wasn't that bad, but it was like the perfect kind of bad game. It was just like, it was just the right amount of like corner cutting and it was just really obvious. Like, I love those invisible barriers and how you just kind of teleport into your boat. Like you don't get into it. You just teleport there, like through that invisible barrier. You have like the land world and you have the water world, and how you couldn't back your truck up a hill. So you had to teleport it. Because they knew you couldn't back it up a hill.
I do have one question because I've never watched the show. I don't know if any of you have, but that scene where they blow up the beaver dam, is that real or is that staged? Because I got to imagine that's staged. I can't believe they'd be allowed to blow up a beaver dam. There's got to be something against that.
Yeah, but it's all in their like absurd amount of property though. Like they just own this whole like chunk of land out in the middle of nowhere. So,
yeah, I suppose.
But I don't know. I've seen a couple episodes, but that's about. I mean, I'm not like a big avid Duck Dynasty watcher. It's just that was the game when I saw that I was like, this is gonna be good. I gotta pre-order this one. Especially when GameStop
rubbing your hands together. Ooh, this is gonna be good.
Yeah, basically, I was very excited, especially when I saw the trailer.
Do you play games for fun or just everything you play ironic? Because I feel like your entire playlist is ironic games.
It's kind of half and half. Because if there's something I can play ironically, I get very excited. In the same way that I get very excited about something being good. So it's like, and then Goosebumps was like kind of like right in the middle. It could have been totally ironic or totally good. So that was like, I'm going back to Goosebumps again. But I like that one. But I could have
Nice.
played it off as ironic. It was just terrible too. So, and additionally, he said, I forgot to mention the Lego games. I love the Lego Batman ones as games to movies.
Movies to games.
No,
yeah.
movies to games. Sorry, no, movies to games.
Comics to movies to games.
Yeah, I have a whole bunch of them, but I haven't played any of them except Lego Rock Band. But that one doesn't really count.
Doesn't count. No. Not
So
really.
they're on my to-do list. I'll get to them one day.
After that game that shall not be
After
named.
Gra.
You named it.
Of course. Yeah, you gotta take a drink.
I like
now
some of the
that-
more
Now
recent
that that's
ones,
a thing.
like the Jurassic Park ones. You know, they have like a lot of the lines like directly from the movies and stuff. That's kind of cool. But again, you know, like most Lego games, it's good to play the story once through. But if you're going to get all the achievements, then it just sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of what I've
I
heard.
think
There's
forever.
always those kind of few straggler achievements that just make it
Yeah,
brutal.
Star Wars. I think
Yeah,
what
it's like-
really killed Lego for me was the Star Wars 3, the sort of the Clone Wars based one. The achievements in that were just such a grind and really, really terrible. I kind of enjoyed the grind on previous ones, but that one just took it all out of me, and it's been very hard to get back into Lego games after that.
They've burned you. Well, that wasn't the only thing we heard from McLovin Legend this week.
No, he sent another comment to it was Joe. Yeah, to Joe. Just basically saying that really enjoyed listening to you on the Z2Z podcast, by the way, as a kind of a side note, because he got a free game giveaway. Yeah, so good on Joe. That was good to have her on the show again as well. Big L commented on the blog. Yeah,
Big
another
L.
brilliant episode. Tieragone. Yeah, that's
Yeah, he can't spell your name.
No.
He even I was in a party with him this week, and he was even talking about it. He's like, I don't know how to spell his name.
It's okay. Nobody does. Yeah.
Such a mystery.
Even I don't know how to spell it. I had another comment on my feed as well. I got 235 completions down this week, and Saucy Slingo said, "Nice work, keep it rolling." But he also said, "Also love the podcasts. I keep learning new tricks, and you are saving my team on the GTA SC. So I'm glad that we're able to help out there. That's good."
Nice. It's fantastic. Yeah, and Spazpole jumped in and said that he likes that we're keeping up with the strong effort on the show, and he looks forward to listening to. And Big L got his shout out, so he appreciates all the Big L shout outs that he so richly deserves. Even though I think Big L was tearing him down in the background, but anyway, that's a different story.
All right. Hanny said, love the show and sincerely appreciated the shout out for his 400,000 gamer score. So that was cool. It's one thing to pursue a goal for personal motivation. It's another to have the respect and admiration of your peers. Regarding the gamer score bootcamp feature on the site, it's definitely wanted and appreciated. It's always good to get recommendations for easy score from friends. I feel that the bootcamp is more intimate than any roadmap walkthrough will ever be. Love the show and keep it up. He also asked whether, given he's responding so much and he gets a lot of love on this podcast, maybe he should be on the show sometime. So we'll have to discuss that one and see how we go with that.
Yeah, he helped me with my Avatar Connect completion yesterday. Jumped in. He had all the achievements, but he jumped into my party, helped me out. There's that talk show one where you had to sit there and do like 2-minute recordings, and then those like quick 10-second ones.
Yep.
So it was me and him and Hyrule. We had to get that 5-person one too. Hyrule Balverine, and then 2 others, Jonker and Soul in a Jar. And so we all sat down in the little talk show, and it was like me and Handy just jaw-jacking, having some fun, and Soul in a Jar in the middle, kind of looking back and forth, like, trying to keep up with the conversation. And it was fun. It was great. So I appreciate him.
That actually sounds like you used that Avatar Connect thing for what it was meant to be used for.
Right? Like it was actually what it was supposed to be. So yeah, go to my Connect share feed and you could watch a 2-minute clip of our interview, community session.
And just after that, Facial LaFleur commented and just basically said, "Congrats on the 400k, Handy." And Handy responded, "I love this community at times." So yeah, I just wanted to post that because it seemed like a nice, warm and fuzzy, and we love the community too. It's great.
Yeah, and all those milestones they're just awesome milestones. Yeah, we can't all get 1 million, but those baby steps along the way. You just got to celebrate those victories. And that's what we're here for, right? If it's getting completions, if it's getting, gamer score milestones, if it's whatever, those are all awesome completions, and that's what we're doing. That's why we want to keep this up. So,
Yep.
And it's important to share those. Moving on just to random community stuff. So last week we had talked about Dark Souls becoming backwards compatible, and how we're kind of excited for it. And so once it becomes backwards compatible, I said, yeah, I'm going to give it a shot. And Crandy, your suggestion to me was to play it straight through legit and hope for the best. And NBA Kirkland jumped in on Urban's blog here, Terrigan's blog, and says, he wants to hear about my Dark Souls experience on the podcast, and that he totally agrees with Crandy. First run, make it legit. Go in dark. You have no idea what you're expecting. He says you're going to struggle, but you will learn. And when you start, each foe you fail will feel like each foe you fall feels like a great victory. You will die, and you will feel awful and lose a bunch of souls. You'll be a nervous wreck, and you'll try to reclaim what you lost. And it will be awesome when you make it and horrible when you don't. He's not selling this to me, by the way. Like, I'm reading his comments here, and I'm like, this isn't giving me the warm and fuzzies. Anyway, he says, play online and feel your heart race when you get invaded, and also make use of random co-op support in certain areas.
I think that's the absolute best way to describe that. I agree with everything except for co-op. If you really want to experience and master Dark Souls, don't play co-op. And a lot of the time you won't be able to. But so I'm curious with what's going to happen with backwards compatibility. But my suggestion to him, or what I think I'll end up doing, is it sounds like there's at least one person who wants to watch it, if not more. This is a perfect opportunity to get the Z2Z Twitch channel going. Yeah, we have been talking about that for a while, and I know. Yeah, and if it's not Z2Z, it'll be my personal channel. But I will stream my first go at Dark Souls, and you can all watch me as I see the first bad guy and get butchered while I'm trying to figure something out. And I will say this, right now, when I do that, I will absolutely not have the chat on. I'm not going to see all the flaming and all everything that's going to happen. No, you have to have the chat on. Come on. I will. I'll come back to it, but I'm not going to see a live chat. I'm going to focus on the game. That's a good idea. Have the chat for the people watching. Yeah. Right. I can look at the transcript later, but I'm going to go full screen and just let that happen in the background. No, and that's the best way for Dark Souls to get immersed in it. You gotta commit. It will feel completely just impossible, but when you figure it out, it's so satisfying, and then you will want to play Dark Souls forever because it's so fun. We'll see. I hear it's polarizing. Yeah, or you will just be defeated and never want to touch it again. But if you can get past that, can get past that being defeated, never wanting to touch it again, I guarantee you'll love it. The Twitch stream might be an hour of me playing, or 30 minutes of me playing, and 30 minutes of me weeping uncontrollably.
My only question, because I've never actually played the game, how are the checkpoints and the save points? Because I always seem to hear horror stories of people that collect a ton of souls and then they die and then they lose other souls and then they just want to quit forever. So personally, I think it's really fair. So the bonfires, which are what you go back to when you die, are very consistent. So pretty much there's never a time when you're just really far between bonfires. Now, getting your souls back, you have to get back to where you died. So, without dying. If you die, you leave a blood stain, and that's where your souls are. So if you can get back there and claim it, you get all your souls back. Now, if you die again, then it goes away, and your souls are gone. Okay. So it's pretty fair. It gets tricky when you start getting into boss rooms that you can't leave unless you beat the boss. So if you can get back to the boss room every time and pick up your souls, you'll keep accumulating them. So say you get 10,000 souls on the way to your boss.
you die in the boss, you leave him there, you get another 10,000 on your way back to the boss, you pick up your 10,000, now you got 20,000, you die again, you get another 10,000, pick up your 20,000. So it keeps accumulating, but if you ever die on your way to the boss, then they're all gone. You can use an item to teleport out of there if you've really accumulated a lot and you want to keep them. But generally, it's pretty fair. It is annoying when you lose them, but it's not. I don't feel like it's really devastating a lot of the time because I don't know. It feels the game.
I'm assuming they're just for upgrades, or
yeah. So they're like XP and currency at the same time. So you use them to buy items. You also use them to level up, and you can only level up at bonfires. Okay. So personally, I don't think it's that devastating when I lose a big bunch of souls. But at the same time, I don't ever let myself accumulate so many that it really is devastating. So when I have enough that I can use them for something useful, I'll use them. So I'm not carrying them around all the time.
There's no real need to hoard them, just spend them as you go.
No, exactly. And when you're to the point where you need so many souls to level up that you have to hoard a whole bunch, your level ups are almost insignificant at that point anyway. So they're not as useful as they once were. The other thing, too, is I did play Demon's Souls on the PS3. It's the only game I've played on the PS3. I think I played Max Payne. I think I played the first level of Max Payne and all of Demon's Souls. So I've played Demon's Souls. I played Dark Souls. I own Dark Souls 2, but I haven't played it yet. Grah.
Drink.
But I do plan on getting to it eventually, as always, with everything that I own. But I don't know. I did Dark Souls twice too. I actually did it 3 times. I did it twice on the 360 and once on PC, the full 1000G. So I think I've played it enough that I just don't feel the punishment anymore.
You're numb to the pain.
I don't know.
You've got Stockholm syndrome of video games.
Well, and the third time around, like I think it only took me from start to finish. Probably only took me about 30 hours, but the first time was well over 100. So that just kind of gives you an idea of the range of how long it can take. So
interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you heard it here, guys. There's going to be some Dark Souls streaming, hopefully. That's the plan.
Yeah, I look forward to getting that Z2Z channel up. It's kind of a new area.
Yeah, we'll figure out a way to get that
and
going.
I was thinking too, I've been playing a lot of Killer Instinct ranked matches. Those are kind of fun to watch. Watch me get destroyed and destroy other people. It's kind of a good mix. So
right. So Big L showed up again this week.
There was one more thing that Kirkland sent through as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The image.
Yeah. So this was in reference to the stolen artwork. What was the name of the studio? Naughty Dog stole some of the artwork from Ubisoft, and Kirkland sent through a link to an image that people had made, which is basically
that was a funny one.
Yeah. So it's the box art for Uncharted 4: A Thief's End, and it's got a guy in a white robe with a pirate's flag behind him on a ship, and it looks very familiar. I'm not quite sure where that's from.
Right, it even has that interesting Assassin's Creed logo on there.
Yeah. And that Ubisoft logo. I wonder what that's doing there.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a partnership. I don't know.
Maybe.
Could be. So
anyway, that'll be in the show notes for anyone interested in seeing that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Check it out. Definitely.
Like I mentioned. So last week, or I've talked about him quite a bit. So I've been playing Lovers in a Dangerous Space time with my son, and Big L sent me a message on Xbox. He says, "Please tell me your son's gamer tag is Freem1/2." Oh my god. I cannot believe I didn't think of that. So, immediately when I got that text message from him, I went out and registered the gamer tag Freem1/2. So I told him, I said, because he was using my alt account, which is Freem Bonus. And so, but every time it pops up on the Xbox, it says, "Hi, Brandon," instead of, doing him. So I'm like, "Hey, if you want this, buddy, I got Freem1/2 for you." And he's like, "I love it. I want it." So We've got Freem whole and Freem half.
See, and when you
get Freem 3/4 as well, just
once he gets older,
and when you sign in, it should just say "Hi, Bran."
There you go.
So you get half.
Yep.
Right.
He sent a couple of messages to me on Xbox Live as well. This one was kind of funny. Finally, I searched for your name for hours, but I kept spelling your name wrong. He also said, I hate to ruin the amount of friends you currently have, 69, lol, lol, lol. But happy anyway. And I was actually, I was playing Zeros earlier today, just trying to get through and unlock some of the fairly high scoring ones for GTASC. And he sent me another one which said, as sung by Foo Fighters, there goes my Zeros, he's ordinary.
That's fantastic.
Funny.
That's awesome. We got a message from Kez.
Actually, I had a message from Big L too.
What was your big?
He sent me a message that said "basement dweller" because my location on my profile is mom's basement, which used to be true like 3 years ago, and it was. I spent the majority of my time in my mom's basement. It's a very, very nice basement. But,
you upgraded?
It's questionable. I mean, yeah, I moved to California.
You upgraded to your own basement.
Well, we don't have a basement. It's just a tiny apartment. So, I mean, it's our own place in California.
It's an elevated basement.
But it's a lot smaller. So, there's pluses and minuses.
Absolutely. So we had a ton of feedback. So we had some feedback from Kez, and he was in the middle of the episode. He just couldn't wait. I suppose that episode was, 3.5 hours long? The longest podcast ever, because we tacked the Life is Strange stuff at the end. But he felt he needed to chime in for the Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time achievements, because he has been playing with his kid who's 9. And he's like, it is, there is an achievement for completing it with each of the ships. But he said the banana split ship is unbelievable, because they literally cut the ship in half, and you can't go and help out those turrets. Like, you have to rely on your partner to do it correctly. He's like, just go ahead and do that one with the AI. You don't want to try and work that out with another kid. And the one that I'm actually working on now that's much better is this jelly roller, because the ship just rotates in circles, and so the engine always stays in one spot. It's always at the bottom of the ship. So if you put the shield on the front end of the ship, you essentially have a moving battering ram, and you don't have to worry about trying to move the shield too much. That still doesn't help with the turret issues when, like, my son can't, he wants to load up with all these guns that don't make sense. But anyway, Kez appreciates the show. Thanks for that. Yeah, we'll. He keeps using all his video game time, so I can't throw extra time on there with him. So my Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time completion is going to be slow going. Although I've got, I think Nexus Plexus, who he wrote in the show a couple times, mentioned, he's like, hey, we both live in Minnesota. We should actually sit down and do real co-op and just finish that thing. So I might take him up on that. We'll see.
There's a lot of Minnesotan listeners.
Hey, this place is great. This place is fantastic. I'm actually, after the achievement contest, the ultimate head-to-head contest, I talked to Mighty Mango. I'm going to be driving over to his place and picking up a PAL console. So I'm going to load up on some stacking. I'm excited. Mm-hmm. My first foray into foreign consoles.
I guess we'll have to kind of make a list of PAL goodies to play while you have it. I've got a lot of PAL goodies.
That's what I'm hoping.
If there's something you want, just let me know.
Yeah, we'll have to get a list and shell out for some shipping to get it up here.
Sherlock games.
I don't know. Right?
I think I've got one of the Sherlocks. I don't have both.
Am I going to be able to read it? It'll be in a foreign language, right? They'll have all those U's in there.
It's like, I don't know. Minnesota's close to Canada, isn't it? You might. It's kind of like speaking Canadian.
I just hope no one asks what my favorite color is.
See,
It's probably going to throw me off.
That's exactly how you pronounce it.
because
Right? Well, you put the U in there. I don't know.
because I've got like the American Canadian thing going on. Like, the words just are completely inconsistent when I type. So like if I'm doing an assignment for school, I have to consciously think not to put the U's in. But then sometimes when I'm not, I'm just kind of casually writing things that don't matter. Just sometimes they get put in.
They wouldn't dock you for that, though, would they? Or like, do you get the red squiggly line if you put the U
No, I
in
don't get the
there?
red squiggly line, I don't think. But I don't know, they might. I don't think they would, but I don't really want to risk it.
I find that hard to believe.
They'd probably dock you if it's inconsistent.
Yeah, see, that's the thing.
Use the word color twice in the same document and one spelled one way. And
Which
spelled the other.
may very well happen. So I try to consciously think to not put the U's in. But
What's in that mug of yours again? Are you just drinking all the time?
no,
and that's why
I just got Earl Grey tea. Yeah, just
I
Earl
keep
Grey
trying
tea.
to think, like, I
Um,
can't think of that many games I really would want to play again on the PAL console. Like, there were a couple for sure, like I love Dead Space 2. That was one of my favorite games. The German version of that, German version of BioShock, obviously. But most of those games, yeah, like Aragon, please don't play Aragon again if you've played it once.
See,
What if I haven't played it
Okay.
once?
I
Don't play
actually
it. Just
only
don't.
have the EU version of Aragon. I haven't played the North American one, but I have the EU one. I have not played the EU one yet, but it's just kind of funny that that's the only one I got.
Nice.
I actually
Yeah,
got my PAL consoles for BioShock and the Saints Rose. That was the
Yeah.
the big. I mean, I want to say series, but
Right, yeah, for me, it was
BioShock's
Dead
not
Space
a series,
2.
really.
I mean, obviously the gamer score had a big factor in it, but yeah, Dead Space 2 was the very first game I ordered for it.
And
So I just wanted to play it again and get some more achievements for it.
and I picked the PAL console over the Japanese console when I was getting my first international one, but price was also a factor too. It was easier and cheaper to get a PAL console, but not that much
yeah,
cheaper.
definitely. Right.
Yeah,
And I have
think-
actually played Of Orcs and Men as well. I know you've been talking
Oh, yeah?
about that one as well. Trying to
Yeah.
get your hands on that. So
That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah,
Have you
I feel
played
like I should get that
Styx?
game now.
yeah,
No, I mean, obviously I have it because of Games with Gold. Actually, I bought it before it went Games with Gold,
okay.
but that's like pure stealth, right? This one was a mix of stealth and
Yeah, it's basically like
'cause
it's
you got to control the orc guy too.
yeah, that's what you do. You control the two characters, Styx and the orc guy. So you try to go in with like as Styx to take out as many guys as you can with stealth. But then if you get spotted, you like bring the orc in, and I mean, it's a
just
decent
wreck
yeah,
house.
it's a decent game. It was a little frustrating for me because like you have to play it on the hardest difficulty, and there was one part in particular that was, I want to say, borderline broken, but that was just on the hardest difficulty. It's kind of like they basically strip all your equipment and all your upgrades and weapons away from you, as games tend to do, and put you in a room
Right.
full of enemies, and it was extremely difficult. You had to do this like strange revive dance between the two characters and like pick one guy up, pick the other guy up, get a couple hits in, and just keep doing that over and over again. It was very frustrating, but it was a decent game. And a PAL exclusive, so yeah, that is one reason to get that console.
Right, that's literally the only reason right now. But I figure while I have it, I might as well make the best of it.
There you go.
Yeah,
Although
there's actually not a lot of PAL exclusives. I think from my side of things, I'm in the PAL region, so I was always kind of jealous of a lot of the US exclusives. There's probably more US exclusives than there are PAL exclusives.
Yeah, I think there are.
USA.
'Cause, it's funny because I didn't realize there were so many. I want to say North American exclusive, but I think a lot of them are actually just US. Until I was getting them for you, because I didn't realize like there's the Backyard Sports. I kind of knew of the Burger King ones, but I figured they probably would have been released in Europe too. There were a bunch of other ones that I can't think of. off the top of
Rugby,
my
cricket
head.
games, all the sports games.
Yeah, a lot of
and
sports
some of the
games.
the Rock Band ones as well. There's a couple of those track packs that came out that were very.
Oh yeah,
were
that's right.
exclusive to
Yeah.
the US.
I know the classic rock. I think the first country one.
In fact, I think they all were except for one. And that was like Track Pack
Probably
2
Track
or something
Pack
like
2.
that. Came out
Track
in
Pack
the-
2
came
is
out in
like the most common game in existence. Like you just see that game. The game. I think most GameStop still have new copies of it. I don't know why, but they must have just bought like a billion of them, and they just could never sell them. And yeah, you can still find them new sometimes. They're getting less common now. I think
it's weird. It's weird that one was the only one that made it to PAL Regions, and Trackback 1 didn't.
Oh yeah, well, Trackback 1 was not even on the 360. I think it was only on the PlayStation 2. Then they just never brought it over to 360.
Yeah.
So that's weird. I think they were really ambitious with the Trackback 2. Maybe that's why they brought it out internationally and with so many copies in the US and Canada. But
well, it's a bit strange with that one as well, because I think the very first Rock Band got delayed for PAL Regions for ages. So it came out in the US, and then it was like 8 months later.
It was actually delayed outside of the US. So I think what happened, I mean, I don't have anything to back this, so don't take it as fact. But what I kind of suspect is because the first batch of Rock Band, the whole batch basically was completely defective. The guitar would break very quickly. It worked for a while, but it would break really quickly. The drums didn't work. The pedals, not only did the pedals break, the pads dropped rolls like 100% of the time. So I think what ended up happening is they were ready to ship out to like Canada and Europe and stuff. And they probably just gave those copies as replacements for all the ones that were broken in the US, because everyone would have been doing warranty claims. And then they're like, well, where do we get enough to replace every copy of Rock Band we shipped with? Well, we have all these copies that were going to go to Canada. Oh, let's just delay it in Canada. Because I remember, I think what happened in Canada was there was a really, really, really small batch. There was like just a few that went out, and then it was delayed. Like there was just none, even for pre-orders. Because I remember I had a pre-order, and it was at least weeks to months before I got it, and I pre-ordered it pretty early on.
In Australia, at least, and I'm pretty sure it was the same that came out at the same time in the UK as Australia. It was at least 9 months, maybe even a year after it came out for the US market.
Yeah, and that was after it had already been delayed in Canada too. So I think it was a few months delayed. Then there was a few that came out. Then it wasn't delayed, but it was just out of stock. It was basically delayed for another months, I think. And then it finally got the widespread release. I assume probably shortly before or around the same time that Europe and Australia got it.
Yeah. And I guess the other exclusives in the PAL sort of US space is a lot of the indie games that are coming out now for the Xbox One. They just don't make it to the Australian market in particular, which is rather frustrating for many Australians. But
tell your government, stop charging so much for registration.
Yeah, I imagine that's probably what it comes down to, is just how much does it cost to get rated.
Yeah, it was like $2 or $3 or something like that for which
for
a small developer is actually quite a lot of money.
Well, and especially with at least with ESRB, you get US and Canada, or with PEGI, you get, I think, most of Europe at least. So it'd be kind of nice if Australia just relied on or used the ESRB ratings instead, save a lot of trouble. Yeah, or PEGI or USK or one of the other ones at least. I guess USK is just Germany.
Yeah. Who's going to take out all the drug references? Because it's not going to be the U.S. Our ratings won't, they'll let everything slide. We're a bunch of degenerates
except for
over
sex.
here.
Can't have sex.
That's true. That's horrible.
Yeah, in Australia, you can have sex, just not drugs.
Smart. So moving on, we had a Twitter comment from NBA Kirkland. He was excited because he just finished Life is Strange, and we had our Life is Strange spoiler cast. Regarding the spoiler cast, I felt like last week a ton of people were playing that game on my friend feed. Now, I don't know if there's a correlation. It might have just been dumb luck.
Yeah.
That I just kept seeing it.
I kind of noticed that too, actually. It's interesting.
But I felt like a lot of people had gotten on top of it, like, hey, maybe we should, get moving on this game.
Well, that's how I'm kind of feeling now, too. Is like, I feel like I'm missing out.
You are totally missing out.
And I love those really story-driven games like that. So I don't know.
You didn't read those spoilers that Facial put in
I
there,
almost
right?
did. I clicked.
Oh,
I
don't click
clicked the
those.
spoiler
Don't do
box and I read about half of the first sentence and I was like, I shouldn't be reading this.
You didn't. You definitely don't want to read that. Because it doesn't help, too, that like my next comment was like, I loved what you put there. It blew my mind. Because I had never considered what he wrote. And the way it was like framed, I was like, oh my God, you're right. That totally could be an avenue to wrap all this up. Like, and I just started feeding on it. Like, this is amazing.
I think his comment, it didn't have any context. It was just a spoiler. So I just assumed it was really long.
Right.
And then I clicked on it and I was like, nope, shouldn't be reading this. I'm going to keep
Full-on
scrolling.
spoiler. So that was fun. And I wish, like, had Terrigan, you've been able to stick around, you would have had something to the end. Like, there's just so many ways to interpret what happened. And I feel like you can have a huge dialogue over everything in that game. And so, maybe there'll be some other titles. Let me just say, Don't Nod's next one, Vampire or whatever. I don't get the same feeling that I'm going to want to talk about it like I would do Life is Strange. But certainly Life is Strange Season 2, if that when that gets coming around.
Yeah, I think that's probably not an
but
if. I think that's more of a when, because it's pretty much universally praised, I think.
Right.
Yep.
So that was super fun. We had a lot of talk too about our games and movies. Still, the residuals from that conversation we had, and so on Skype here, Spazpole jumped in. Damien says, "Hey, you guys forgot the greatest shovelware movie tie-in game ever, E.T."
I know. I feel when he said that, I felt like I should have thought of E.T. because I've actually...
Yeah, so did I, actually.
See,
just like, oh my God, yeah.
And I actually watched E.T. recently, too, because I had never seen it. And there's a theater here that does... They do, like, flashback movies that are, like, half price, and they're old movies. So my wife and I went to see E.T. because I had never seen it. And even the guy at the theater was like, "You've never seen E.T.? Like, what's wrong with you?" Like, it was hilarious. And yeah, so I finally saw, I think it was E.T. It was either E.T. or Jurassic Park. I had not seen either of those movies. And one of the movies, the guy at the theater was like, "What is wrong with you?"
I'll admit I haven't actually seen Jurassic Park.
Those are two very distinctly different movies. I'd like to think that if you sat through one of them, you would have remembered which...
You'd probably know the difference.
Well,
Right?
no, I remember the difference between the movies. I just don't remember which one it was where the guy was like, "What's wrong with you? Why haven't you seen this movie?" Because really, both of them kind of deserve that reaction. But
Yeah, that is true. That is
But
true.
yeah, and I have ET too. I have the Atari 2600 and ET, and it's not as bad as people say it is.
Yeah, it is.
No,
It's totally
it's not
as bad as
that
people say.
bad. There are far worse games than ET. Like it's stupid and it doesn't make sense, and like the whole thing is kind of just incoherent. But it's like once you figure out what you're supposed to do, like it kind of makes sense. Like it's not unplayable. It's just frustrating.
Have you played
Right.
Ride to Hell Retribution yet?
I haven't,
you
but
say?
I do have it on my shelf. That's up there on my
Yeah,
best
Okay.
worst games to play.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I heard that holds a special distinction for most people.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
I've heard that. Well, and the story behind that one is really interesting too, because I think it was originally being developed for like last like pre 360 generation, like PS2 and Xbox, and then they just kind of didn't finish it, and then the next generation came out, and I think they just kind of like got it out, and they're like, "Yeah, we can make this kind of
Hopefully
we
no
can
one
make
notices.
this kind of work enough to sell it," and they're like, "Yeah." And then we'll
Kind of
and then
have
we'll
that
make a
same
sequel.
feeling as like Duke Nukem or something. It just kind of got thrown out there.
Yeah, and I think I don't
Right.
remember where I was reading about that, but it was something along those lines. It may not have been exactly that. And then they're like, "Yeah, and we can make a sequel," which they never did, but they planned on it. I think it was like Ride to Hell Retribution, like Route 666 or something. It was like a racing game where you could like on motorcycles, you could like punch each other off them, like something weird. And then
Yeah, I saw that title on like on TA or
Yeah.
something as a
I don't
Right.
think it was ever officially canceled, so maybe they'll dig it up in like 5 years or something. Be like,
Is that new Road Rage
Yeah, it could be
thing that's coming out?
But quality from Deep Silver, they love those quality titles.
Yeah, it's still got a listing on TA, so one can only hope that we'll get it at some point.
Yeah, it'll be the same thing.
Right?
Like, yeah, we were going to make this for 360. Yeah, we can make this kind of work for the one. Yeah, we can charge $60 for this because someone will buy it.
Hey, so before we move on to Facial's comments, I don't understand Spazpool's second comment here. What is he referring to?
There's a documentary. You've heard the legend about the ET cartridges that got dumped in landfill because they got returned or they just couldn't sell them. So there's actually a documentary about searching for that particular landfill and trying to find those cartridges, and that's actually an app. There's an app version of that on the Xbox One, which does happen to have a couple of achievements on it.
And
nice.
I definitely recommend it. It's if you're into that kind of like, I don't know, I really like kind of game history and game preservation and like archiving, and just the story of the ET in the landfill is just so legendary. And then to watch it and find out that it's true is just like, it's like the legend. It's like, they had these warehouses of games that just dumped in a landfill because they couldn't sell them. It's like, you'd think, why would they do that?
Possible, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Who would do that?
Why would they do that? Like, how could they possibly have that many games? And then they interview the people that were involved in it, and then they kind of get people in to figure out where it would have been at that time, and then they dig it up, and there it is. And it's so cool. It's really, really cool. And they even...
Yeah, it's definitely worth picking up. It's a bit of a shame that the actual app is discontinued.
Oh, is it? I didn't realize.
You can't download it anymore.
I actually...
You can still see the documentary around though.
Yeah, I actually watched it on Netflix. I skipped through the app. The app you can complete in like 5 minutes or something. But I watched the documentary on Netflix, which is the same as the one on there. So I don't know if it's on Netflix outside of the US, but I'm sure you can find it somewhere. It was free to begin with, so I'm sure somewhere streams it.
Right.
But very, very, very cool documentary, that one.
So Facial LaFleur, when we mentioned him with the Life is Strange thing, he also commented, he had a couple comments, but he also commented on his movies to games, and he said that quality movie to games adaptations are pretty cringeworthy, but X-Men Origins Wolverine is one example where the game was actually better than the movie. And he puts in parentheses, by a million miles. He says he could be in the minority, but he enjoyed Hellboy the game, although the DLC was never released and it's unobtainable. So he's not happy about that. And then he also says, GoldenEye, #1.
Well, and Hellboy's not the only movie game to get DLC that was ever released. Rambo had that treatment too. Rambo was actually one I was really looking forward to completing, because it's another one of those like I saw the trailer, I was like, man, this is going to be a train wreck. And of course it was. No, I distinctly remember when I knew when I wanted to buy that game, there was a trailer where they were showing a clip of gameplay, and this helicopter flies in and it no clips right through the ground and then comes back out of the ground. And it just in the trailer. And it's like, it's not like it's just like you really got to be picking it apart. Like I watched it once and I was like, did that helicopter just no clips through the ground? Then I went back and like, yep, sure did.
My God, that's awesome. And
this is a rail shooter. Like, it's not like you can just like fly a helicopter around. Like, this is a rail shooter, and this was like a sequence. I'm pretty sure it was like a clip of a sequence that was like a cutscene with like, the game playing a cutscene. And helicopter right through the ground. Hilarious.
Nice.
So I do
just like real life.
I do have it. I just haven't played. I think I will play it on a dummy eventually. But
sure.
Yeah, that's.
So Facial also mentioned we put up our Twitter poll on the Gamerscore Bootcamp and what to do with it. We had some good feedback, some tweets and things, just talking about why people picked what they picked. Overwhelmingly, people like it. Like they want to have some type of thing in there, it does seem like we do need to tweak it a little bit. And so we'll probably try and do it this episode with maybe some modifications as to what we're working at. I don't know. It's a pretty long episode, though. But yes, I think we'll keep it. We enjoy it. There's one person who said, no, just get rid of it. I'm going to assume that was Big L. He likes to, ruffle feathers.
I enjoy it. My only thing would be, I'd just like to hear more, I don't know, maybe more current games, I guess, because obviously there's so many indie games coming out nowadays that, a lot of them just kind of get swept under the rug. So, some of them probably most people aren't aware of.
Well, maybe we can tie them in with Shovelware Cemetery.
There you go.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I think the way it was working, I ended up doing more current ones, and I think Frame was doing older ones. So yeah, we should maybe try and tag team it a bit more like that.
Yeah, because I don't own any new games. All my games are so darn old.
Now that we're getting Shovelware Cemetery, you might get some early access even. If we have some cool developers that want to put their games on trial in the cemetery, send us a code. We'll play it and talk about it and see if it. Well, we'll talk about that. We're going to do some changes, but we'll talk about that when the time comes.
The other thing that based on that Twitter poll, we actually got Facial LaFleur to use Twitter again. So achievement unlocked. Play the sounder. But, thanks Gamer Grug, BT7389, Jelly Bigfoot. You guys all made comments with your votes, so I appreciate that. I know Spaz Poll voted quick. So, yeah, there's a bunch of thank you everyone who participated and gave us some feedback on that one. That's great. And then, of course, the other feedback I've been getting is on my contest feedback. And so the Ultimate Head-to-Head Challenge is now officially out in the wild. You can register for it. It's going to start on March 14th. As of now, we've got 1,300 people in there. So that's a nice little number. I assume that's going to go up by the time the thing closes on the 11th. So probably by the time this comes out, you don't really have any time to get on it, but pretty much everyone who spends any time on TA has seen it. But people who have been signing up to that leaderboard that I set up prior to this being picked up by TA, gave me a thumbs up and said they appreciate the podcast and enjoy it. So Enigma Gamer 77, Kunzite 508, Matriarch, and Tatey. So thank you guys and girl in Matriarch's case for the nice comments. Also got a comment from Griffey95 said, "Hey, nice job getting TA to host your contest. Should be interesting to see how a contest of that on that site works with the size that it's getting." Like, I can't thank Rich and Jack enough for all the work that they put into it.
It's been
are
great.
Making that thing so much cooler than I could have. Yes, the essence of what I wanted is there, but that site functionality is going to make it so awesome. I'm just pumped with how it's going to execute. Now, of course, when it was smaller, I had a better chance of competing, and now that there's 1,300 people, I'm not feeling as good. Hopefully, I can get through one round. That there are other people like me out there who are dreadfully nervous about who they get matched up with, but. Let's just say, if I get matched up with you, Redemption, I'm in big trouble.
Yeah, I think I might sit this one out. I was joking with, I think Kaz made a joke about that he would get matched up with me again after the what we did in the assassination contest. It's like,
right?
It's a little bit easier for me in something like that when I could just sit back there and let him and Waddy do all the work for the most part.
Yeah.
Because, that type of thing, it's like, as a completionist, it makes it, harder to attack somebody, but it makes it a lot easier to, defend it at the same time, but...
Right.
Something like that.
So this one,
a little different.
Yeah, this one makes it easier where it's just straight achievements on the list. You just unlock them. So you and your opponent can unlock the same achievements. And if you can just go toe-to-toe with them and you get yours first, you're going to win it. And so hopefully you can sneak out a trickier one before your opponent does. So there's no eliminating. There's none of that stuff. It's nice. It should be nice and simple, nice and easy to do. I'm very curious how those scores play out week one, and I'm really looking forward to it. I also got a comment from Big Easy 97 on my feed. He said he was really excited when he saw that TA was taking over my contest. He said, over the last year, you put in a ton of effort over the Achievement Hound site and getting your contest up and running. So it's good to see that your hard work is paying off. Keep up the great work, man. So, hey, thanks, Big Easy. I appreciate that. Yeah, I hope to bring some of those other contests that I have, see if I can get increased functionality through TA, if they fit what this community is doing, or just bring in new people from, our listeners on the Z2Z site. The Achievement Hounds are great, and they gave me a lot of opportunities to play around with and hone in on my craft. And so I've got, three or four contests I've already run that I could run again, or I got probably 2 more new ones that are kind of kicking around in my head and could have a home. So keep your ears tuned to the podcast, because I'm sure I will be announcing new ones down the road. But as of now, we're focused on the Ultimate Head-to-Head Challenge, and I can't wait. I'm really excited about that. So that pretty much wraps up our listener feedback and questions. Why don't we head into what we've been playing this week? Guest of Honor, Redemption. I bet we could be here another hour with all the games you've been playing. But any highlights? Anything you wanna touch on?
Yeah, I pretty much touched on most of it early on. I guess I could just quickly go over the ones I actually played. I guess not just the ones I dived there at the end, or had all prepped to what. And all that, because I still needed about 1,200 or so points to kind of get to where I had everything else prepped. So I still needed to play a couple quick games the past week. So I picked up the new Screen Sheet game. Probably got 400 something in that, and then the Jackbox Party Pack 2. I was hoping that one would go on sale at some point, but that's a very easy, like $8.50 in a couple hours. So got my easy points out of those to kind of put me where I wanted to be. And then like I said before, most of the time this week was between Just Dance 2016, The Evil Within on the Kumu mode, and then doing the Ori and the Blind Forest with the No Death speed run. So that was pretty much it.
It's just some pretty impressive achievements, though. I mean, you're not making it easy.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough. Like I said, I didn't get the weekend off like I wanted to, but I did get the rest of the week off. So I got some time to put into those, so I'd have at least a couple proper things to finish it off with, or at least attempt to finish it off with before the achievement app screwed me.
Sure, right. That's awesome, though. Yeah. That's awesome. So, Crandy, what about you? I assume you played video games this week.
I actually played probably more than I should have this week, but oh well. Roblox, of course. I don't think I've pulled a Freem yet, so...
What about the reverse Freem? Are you sure you don't have all the achievements?
I'm sure, because it's my last achievement, so I would have seen it pop up. I'm actually looking at my list right now just to make sure I don't miss anything.
Would a reverse Freem be a MIRF?
Could be.
Sorry, that was a terrible joke. Keep going.
I played a little bit of Gears of War 2, knocked out some Horde mode with Jack. I started Pac-Man Kart Rally. It's not that fun. I played a little Wolfenstein, finally finished off the online multiplayer in that. I started that one a couple of years ago and just never finished it. I mean, I still have the single player, but I finished the multiplayer. One of my friends was helping me out with Red Faction Guerrilla. He was idle boosting a bunch, and he offered to he was running the matches himself, and he just let me sit in. So he got me about 100 ranked wins on that, which is much appreciated. That's one I've been wanting to finish for quite some time. I played a lot of Killer Instinct. Lots of Killer Instinct.
Saw those achievements popping.
I'm trying to get Killer before the season 3, because I'm thinking my rank's going to reset, and I'm already at gold, so I don't really want to have to redo that. But we'll see. I don't know if I'm going to make it. The competition's pretty fierce up in gold tier. And I started.
Get good.
Well, I know it's tough. And I started Action Hank, and that game has a leaderboard achievement in it, which I earned today, and
nice.
It's quite fun. We'll talk about it some more in Shovelware Cemetery, but it's going to be a tough completion, that one. And of course, I played some Gra.
Drink.
And
fantastic.
that's it.
Awesome. What about you, Tarragon?
Well, I started off the week with a little bit of Walking Dead Season 1. Just as I was actually editing the podcast, I kind of let Walking Dead play in the background almost, just because I knew we were going to be going to have a little bit of a tough week points-wise, so I just wanted to kind of get a head start on it. Roblox, of course, just working through getting the 20-day achievement on that, trying not to pull a frame. Almost pulled a frame yesterday, actually. My reminder to go and boot it up got lost somewhere, and I didn't realise until I think the clock for that resets at 11 p.m. my time, so it's based on the GMT midnight. And yeah, I think I was pretty close to missing it. But I got it. I think we also sat in a party and got the Falls Company one, which was quite frustrating to say the least.
That was tough.
Yeah, it's annoying.
I don't know what was wrong with your stuff. That was weird.
Yeah,
maybe it's like a played pre-patch type thing. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of people would have had it pre-patch.
Yeah, that's true.
And downloaded it and got it fine. So yeah, I have no idea what's going on with it. I've got through a bit more of Zeros, which is some nice high TA achievements on that. I think mostly just because it was a free game, and so most people have probably picked it up, got the first achievement, and gone, "This game sucks."
And it was broken.
Yeah, I was going to say,
and it was quite
pre-patch. It sounds like that was quite a bit of a mess. That one.
Yeah, but even if you played through this game on easy and just went through and got the collectibles, you're going to just get yourself quite a lot of points. So that's another good one for GTASC, at least for the moment anyway, before it starts to bleed more. I did a little bit of work on Minecraft on the Xbox One. Just picked up a few of the sort of missing achievements there. That was just more because I wanted... I think that was right at the end of the period last week for GTASC, and I just needed to make sure we had a bit of extra there. Jumped in and got the multiplayer out of the way for a obscure Japanese sports game called Pro Baseball Spirits 3. Both myself and Montana97 happened to have that game, so we just jumped in and got the ranked matches out of the way for a cool 200 points or so. Finished off the Swapper. That was just basically a points game for this week, and I tried to do some more simming in Madden 08. But it's not really giving me many achievements, which is kind of annoying.
Yeah, that's kind of where I've hit that point in Madden 08 too. I have no idea how to play Madden 08. Being a Canadian and all.
Being an Australian, it's like what is this football thing? And I think that's just in general. What is sport?
Right.
But yeah, I don't really. I mean, I know a little bit about American football, but not enough to be able to.
Yeah, I'm gonna need somebody to help me out with Madden 08 the other thing too is not only do I not really know what's going on in football, I don't know how to play the game. There's just something unintuitive about the control scheme. Just, I don't know.
Well, your first step is just to go into adjust all the sliders into your favor, and that'll help you out quite a bit.
I've done that.
Right.
Still having a hard time. I'm really hopeless in that one.
Yeah, it was kind of funny actually. I was following the guide for Madden 08 on True Achievements, and it actually recommends not adjusting the sliders. And I was like, yeah, okay. And I tried going through it on the sim mode for a while and got nothing. And I went and read some other guides. So I went over and had a look on Xbox Achievements, and they recommend going and adjusting all sides. So that's what I did. And yes, I did sort of modify the outcome a bit. So I'm not really sure why the TA guide suggests not doing that, but I recommend doing it because it does seem to affect.
Yeah, I seem to recall that game in particular, I had to do a whole lot more of, micromanaging it, like playing one game at a time and seeing, whatever achievement you were going for. Like, okay, I got a sack in that game, I'll save. Okay, no, I didn't get one, so I won't save, Just pain in the neck.
Yeah. So I think pretty much almost all of them can be done by simming, but it just might take a while because you've got to get certain conditions to just luckily happen. Like the same person receiving the kick 10 times in a row, that's, going to be pretty rare to happen even under sim mode. Anyway, so that was basically my week. What about you, Frank?
I also completed the Swapper this week. I kind of had already started it, and it took too long to get that first achievement, so I stopped, and I was like, I'm going to go do something else. Well, decided to pick it back up again, and just found a great video walkthrough, and so I ended up playing, I'm going to say 90% of that legit, all I did was use the walkthrough, and they showed me which door to go into, and it was like, okay, I'm going to solve the puzzle, and then solve the puzzle, and then I'll wait, play the video, and I absolutely looked up every single hidden terminal for that. Those I would have never found those. And I probably cheated on 3 puzzles. I was just like, I'm not. I think I know what I want to do, but I'm just going to look it up.
Yeah, the puzzles on that one weren't that tough, I found.
No, they're not. They're pretty easy. Really, where to go most efficiently. And so, like, if you're just following a straight video guide, I mean, we're talking hour, 10 minutes maybe. And that's to complete the game. Like, you can get all the terminals long before that, but I mean, you're relatively close to the end. You might shave off 10, 15 minutes of extra gameplay just to finish the story if you care. It was interesting. It was fine. Nothing special. I mentioned earlier we did the Connect Fun Labs Avatar Connect talk show with Handy Darkness, Hyrule Balverine, Jonker, and Solanajar. That was fun. That was a boosting session through TrueAchievements.com. I also did Connect Fun Labs I Am Super, that to finish out that other leg of my goal for the month of March, and that was pretty darn quick. Like the walkthrough says, my son had a blast playing it, even though he sprained his ankle and I didn't want him jumping around. That's not to say that the game has jumping in it. My son has ADHD and cannot stop moving, and so if he gets excited because he's playing video games, he jumps. So I feel like I was just putting more stress onto his ankle, but was able to douse his flame and shut down his lightning and all that fun stuff. So got those 2 quick completions out of the way. We also played a little bit of Lovers in Dangerous Space Time, beat the 3rd campaign level, the worm boss guy. That was kind of fun. And then the other 2 things that occupied most of my time this week, oldie but goodie, the Wrecketeer, the old Kinect cannonball game where you took castles down and goblins. I had finished that game except for the goblin leaderboard achievement where you need to kill 1,000 goblins. I had 500 left, and I was like, oh, well, I'm not going to grind it right now because there's the 2 DLC packs, and if they go on sale, I'll just pick those up, and that'll help. They never went on sale, and I've never seen them on sale. I don't think they are. So I went and I had a couple extra bucks from my birthday, so I went and bought the 2 achievement packs. I beat one on Monday, one on Tuesday. Nothing too crazy. But when I finished those, I was at like 953 goblins, and so grabbed the last 17 or 47 goblins, and bam. Got that game completion out of the way. I think I was like the number 114 or something on that one. Not a lot of people completed that game, so that's kind of fun. I like having those weird old Kinect games that are just kind of people gave up on. So that was fun. And then the rest of the week, instead of starting up Assassin's Creed Revelations like I should have, I was like, I'm just getting in the groove right now with Guacamelee. And I don't want to lose that and try to revisit, so I'm just gonna see if I can complete this before the Ultimate Head-to-Head Challenge. And I was at the El Infierno challenges, and I was ripping through those as best I could to get those golds. And Big L and Matriarch and Freak can attest. I was in the party with them when I was playing those. I was getting frustrated. Those are tricky. And there's some ways to kind of cheese them a little bit, but you just got to practice. That's all you got to do. You got to practice. You got to get good. It ends up working. I finished it today, or was it last night? I finished the last 3 I needed to get gold on. So that feels really good. And I went and collected all the orbs and whatnot. So we're getting close to finishing that thing. Right now I'm trying to find, I got a couple side quests and 100% that I needed to get, and then go kill that boss, and should be pretty darn close to completion. I think I might be able to get it this month, so I'm hoping. But that pretty much wraps up. I actually forgot
something. It's not an Xbox game. Again, I know I keep getting things that I play in the week that I get excited about, and I want to talk about them. So this week, I got one of my favorite board games when I was a kid. Electronic Talking Mystery Mansion. I was super excited. And that is a fantastic board game. If you can find that game, with all its pieces and the working electronic organizer, fantastic game. The funny thing is, it even holds up. Like, I used to play it when I was like 10. Like,
so that was like a couple of years ago.
Yeah, exactly. But and it was like, I just remembered it and I was like, man, that game was so fun. It was so cool. And then now I get it again like years later and it's still super fun and so cool. And it's just like, it's something about it just holds up really well. So if you find that game, it's worth it. Even if it's expensive, it's worth it. Super fun.
Nice. All right.
Well, speaking of board games, I just picked up a game called Roll for the Galaxy, which I recommend highly if you're into sort of like world building kind of games. But yeah, you're kind of racing to build your galactic empire before your opponents do. That's a lot of fun.
Is it like a build the board kind of game?
It's not. No, not really. You basically have your own separate empires, and basically you've kind of got to develop or settle planets and that sort of thing. But you kind of have your own area, but you do a communal kind of agreement on what phases happen, and so that sort of sets the tone for the turns. But yeah, no, it's a good game though.
There you have it. Apparently, we've got a board game corner now. Well, let's move on to a more legit topic or segment that we have, the news. We're going to start off with a couple game releases that are coming out soon. Actually, they'll probably be out by the time this podcast comes out. But Ori and the Blind Forest Definitive Edition coming out on March 11th. There's been we're gonna wildly speculate on the rumors that we heard actually on Redemption's stream last night. There's some suggestions that this is definitely getting a new achievement list. That so if you have the original Ori, that Ori Definitive Edition will be a separate set of achievements. You can earn them again. The rumor is that the original Ori might not be available anymore. So if you don't own that and you want to go buy it, that you will only be able to buy the Definitive Edition moving forward. I don't have any substantiation on that. I don't know if any of you have heard anything to the contrary.
Yeah, I think it was mainly Rand was the one talking about it, and I think he said he was talking to people that had worked on the game, like this was coming directly from them, I believe, so not entirely sure how it's going to all work out. I mean, they pretty much did say, yeah, it's going to be, the new version is going to be one shared list, because they're trying to focus more on the shared saves, obviously, so it's just going to be one achievement list between the Definitive Edition and the Windows 10 version.
Yeah,
but
so they're re-releasing for Windows 10, I guess, and that's where it's going.
Right. I still don't know how that works. Like, are they just going to remove it from the marketplace entirely, the old one? I don't get that.
Yeah, I think there was also mention of like a $5 upgrade or something like that. So if you have the old version, you can get the new one for $5 or something. But
I'm hoping. I'm excited. I hope that is the case. We got The Division coming out very shortly, and I had made a comment. I was nervous if there was Dark Zone achievements, how I'd feel about it. Well, the PS4 trophy list has leaked, and we found it. There are 51 achievements. Well, there's 50, right? And then there's that platinum for PS4. So 50 achievements, 7 of them are explicitly Dark Zone related, and not so Dark Zone related that they scare me, which I actually appreciate. I'm not afraid of this achievement list. There are some difficult ones in there, like grabbing some superior loot from the Dark Zone. Yeah, that's probably gonna be tricky. Killing rogue guys, you can probably boost that if you can coordinate with somebody. So not terribly concerned. I mean, it'll probably be a tough completion, like Destiny will just take a long time. But I'm kind of in on this. So and knowing Ubisoft, something tells me The Division might be relatively inexpensive down the road. They like to discount things pretty darn quick, but they did also mention there's a ton of they're taking the opposite of Destiny approach with their content. Lots of raids, free content, things coming out. They're very transparent with what they're planning on launching. So I like it. I like that. That's the modus operandi for them. Terrigan, what do we got here?
Well, there was a new dashboard update, and it seems that in the new achievements Snap-on, which is you can now view your achievements on the Snap-on sidebar on the left quickly. Done unlocking has been fixed. Sort of.
Oh, yeah?
Well, no, not really. Done unlocking achievements actually just don't come up as done unlocking on that particular thing, but I just thought that was kind of a funny thing.
They just say they just have 100%,
100%,
right?
100%, but appear in the locked list. So there we go.
Nice.
I don't think that's what we wanted.
No. They still do appear as done unlocking in the regular achievement app proper, though. So.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha. Well, we did have a big Microsoft event this week. They're talking about Xbox One. They're talking about PC. There's just a lot of updates specifically related to like hardware, just kind of what their plans are about marrying the two, the cross-platform stuff. It's interesting things, but one thing that came out of this little conference here, Phil Spencer mentioned that he kind of wants to do away with the generational thing. I mean, in his idealistic sense of how gaming is going to be, that he would be able to evolve the Xbox One like you do a PC. You need a better, you get an upgrade to your processing, you get an upgrade to your graphics card, you do that you would continually upgrade your Xbox One and use that as kind of the hub. My question to you guys, is that a good idea? I mean, is that something that we want, or do you like having the clean break and I'm done with my 360, it's time for the One, I like the balance across the board, or would you kind of want to lean toward the PC route and say, yeah, I'm ready to get some newer games. I'm going to upgrade my graphics. I want to be on top of this because PCs are just blowing the consoles away. Turgan, what do you think?
Well, in principle, I like the idea. I think the main reason I went to console is because I got really jack of the whole upgrade path and dealing with drivers and dealing with software updates and dealing with game patches and all the things that go along with PCs. And then you find out that your PC is not quite powerful enough to run this game at the thing that you want to play it at, so you need to think about another graphics update, more drivers, all of that pain. Plus the general day-to-day management of making sure that your PC just works in general without the blue screens and all the kind of crap that goes along with it. So that's the main reason I think I really sort of went to console away from PCs, because with a console, you just turn it on, you put the game in, and you play, and that's it. It works. If they could somehow link that turn on and play kind of process with hardware upgrades to keep it fresh, so you're not lagging behind the PC as much as they are. Even when they first come out, they're always lagging behind PC. If they could do that and keep it so that it's nice and stable and will always work, I don't really see an issue with it. And if they went away from the whole generational process, but just had a continuing sort of upgrade path, I don't really see that being too much of a problem, to be honest. I kind of question how it would actually work.
There's a lot of
practice,
issues with that,
and how are you going to have a split in the game market? Like, you're still going to have some kind of generational gap where you're going to want to be able to release games that you don't want to downgrade so far for the original base Xbox One, for example. You want to get the Xbox One with its second stage hardware upgrade or whatever, and there might be games that are targeted towards that specifically. Developing titles for backwards compatibility or for the lowest common denominator is actually a kind of a bad thing. You end up degrading the quality of it higher to make it work on the lower in some cases. So I could see game developers not necessarily liking that, because they need to develop for more platforms, so to speak.
And then we'll have like 3 platforms to get more achievements on, right?
Well, I think the achievement lists will be singular, unfortunately. But
right.
Yeah. So, I mean, would they release a game that would degrade nicely on the an older version of the hardware, or are they going to release 2 separate versions? One that'll work on the new and one that'll work on the old, or what are they going to do there? I guess there's a lot of practical questions to be answered there, and I don't even think Phil Spencer sort of knows the answer to those things. He was just kind of outlining a general idea of what he would like to, what his ideal would be for the platform going forward. And that's certainly, I think in a later podcast he was on with Major Nelson, he even said that, look, we're not going to be announcing hardware anytime soon. It's just that this is just sort of more where I would want to see the platform go in future. But he also said that he does think that there will be another generation, certainly of Xbox. hardware. So I guess we'll see how it goes. I don't think it'd be a bad thing, but there's just the practicalities of it what bother me, I guess.
I don't like it.
See, I do think it's a bad thing. I don't like
I
it
don't
either.
like it.
I want a console.
You know what I look at? I look at when this has been tried in the past. Like, think back to Sega CD, Sega 32X, particularly the 32X. That one was like, you plug it in, it's better hardware. Horrible failure. And then you look at the Nintendo 64 DD. Most people probably don't even know what that is. And it was an add-on. Like, you remember on the N64, there was that flap on the bottom with that like cartridge-looking thing? Yeah, that was for the 64 DD.
Yeah, I remember that. It's extra definition, isn't it? It was extra RAM, I think, for the video card or something.
Oh, no. See, that was the expansion pack. And the expansion pack actually worked. See, that was easy. There were only a few games that required it. They were pretty cheap and they were really easy to install because they planned for it way ahead of time.
Yeah.
But the 64 DD was like a disc drive. It was like the Sega CD for N64. It was only released in Japan, and according to Wikipedia, only 15,000 of them were sold. So, yeah, not too successful, that one. So,
yeah. In my mind, I think of like, I'm looking at my Xbox One, and I think like it's just going to look like Voltron with all these pieces sticking out of it, and like you're building this tower of battle.
That's one of the practical questions is like, how is it even going to work?
And where do you plug it?
The Xbox One at the moment just doesn't have that capacity for it. So you're looking at the next generation, but like the next iteration of the console itself, then would have to have modular sort of places for things to plug in. And I don't think people buy consoles to get away from doing that sort of stuff. I mean, I certainly do.
Absolutely.
That's why I do it.
That's where I kind of question it. So if they could get around the practical questions, yes, there's probably a good thing. There's probably good things to be found out of that, particularly, to take a 5-year console and then make it up to date with current PC hardware. That'd be a great thing. Whether or not it'd work is, whether it's really practical and whether it'd sell. And, as you rightly say, Crandy, history says no, it wouldn't.
And really, too, is like, all it is just making generations faster. You're calling the same thing something different. When you buy the new, Gen 2 of the Xbox 3, it's still a new console. It's just two pieces. You buy Gen 4 of the Xbox 3. It's still the Xbox 7. It's
from the Xbox point of view, at least from hardware and development, it's actually much quicker and easier for them to develop an expansion, I would say, than it would be to develop an entirely new console. There's a lot of R&D that goes into a brand new console, whereas for a component that expands the existing console, they've already got the baseline there, and it would take a lot less effort, I think. So
I guess it would ultimately come down.
They could get their money
ultimately
back.
come down to cost. Is what's it going to cost the consumer? Because new parts are expensive, and if you're shelling out $300-$400 per console per, I would assume every couple of years, that gets expensive real quick. I mean, they could do it on something like a leasing model, where you don't actually own the console, you just lease it. So you pay $10 a month or whatever to have your console, and whenever a new update comes out, you just get it. That. No, people are going to hate that.
Oh, I hate it with cell phones right now. Leasing your cell phone, like, let me just buy my cell phone.
I buy my. You can still buy your cell phone. You just have to pay it all up front.
You can, but there's a lot of people moving toward the leasing thing.
But there is a benefit of leasing too. Is the carriers have a motive to not plan obsolescence.
Yeah,
but
my thing is there's no way I'm turning in a functioning cell phone at the end of 2 years. I am too abusive to them, so I'm going to pay full price anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. My last phone lasted me 4 years, so I'm hoping this one will get me a while too. I'd recently just upgraded, so.
Redemption, you got any comments on upgrading your Xbox 2?
No, I think you guys covered it pretty much all the same thoughts. Like, if it's doable, if it's manageable, if the price is right, I wouldn't mind it, but I just can't really see it functioning the way we'd want it to.
Right, tough to wrap your head around. Well, we'll just have to keep our ears open and listen. And, if there's something, I mean, There, yes, very much will likely be a new console generation. I don't think we can consider Nintendo's NX a new generational step. That's probably a catch-up
I
step.
think that's definitely a catch-up because the Wii U's,
you know,
it's a Wii U.
a little behind. So anyway, we get one last piece of news here, Crandy. What are we going to finish out the news section with?
Well, given my proximity to, living in the Bay Area, there's a big conference coming up in a couple of weeks, the GDC Game Developers Conference, and I'm thinking about going there. Being a developer of big rigs and all.
Of course.
That's not actually why I'd be going there.
Well-respected
absolutely.
developer.
I mean, I could host a panel, you know.
There you go.
No, but I can get in with student pricing, and I think it would be a good opportunity for the podcast to kind of go in and maybe talk to some developers and hopefully get some interviews. So that's something that's kind of cool. I'm just have to see if it's in the budget, which I'm pretty sure it will be.
Sure.
But
if anybody wants to donate to the cause,
if you want to send me to GDC, you can send me some money if you want.
And then at least one of those developers Crandy will make fun of. So, yeah.
At least.
We'll get as many interviews as we can, and then at least one of them he will rip a new one for their shovelware garbage.
Hi, Phil Fish.
Yeah,
maybe.
Right? Are you gonna be...
So yeah, that's kind of cool, and so that's in a couple of weeks. So hopefully that'll work out, and we can get some
absolutely
cool
hope
new
to
interviews.
Hear it on the show. Perfect. Well, let's move into our closing features for this week. I know you guys don't want to do one, so I'm going to do a Gamerscore boot camp. It'll be quick. We just talked about it. It'll be Swapper. But before we get to that, let's head on into the Shovelware Cemetery.
All right. Well, so we're going to make a quick change. We'll just start off with that. So we had a suggestion from, I believe it was Matriarch, who suggested we either bury a game or we send it to the Shovelware Sanctuary instead of setting it free, which I think is a fantastic idea. So we're going to switch it. So we either...
I like that. I guess we might need to rename the entire segment then, because it's either going to the cemetery or the sanctuary. Where are we in the middle there?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think we should start in the cemetery.
We'll start in the cemetery. If anybody has an idea, we're open to ideas, so send it in.
So I kind of like the concept here that, you know, we're a zombie themed show, so you kind of start in the cemetery. The game kind of crawls out of its grave.
You either send it back,
you're either bashing it around the head and putting it back in the grave, or putting it into your little sanctuary. I kind of like that.
Yeah, that works. I like that too. All right, so. We have a few games. We have 3 games this week, and we have a couple to give away, which will be at the end. So we're going to start off with Beat to Beat, which is a kind of rhythm shoot 'em up game. So everything is kind of to music. I wouldn't call it a rhythm game, but it's just all of the thing is the enemies are in a predetermined sequence that is to music.
Yeah.
So
there was another game on recently, I think, or last year, that was a bit like that. I think you might have played it.
Beat Buddy, Tell the Guardian, something like that. That's what it sounds similar
to. That sounds right. Yeah, I didn't play it, but that sounds right.
Yeah, it sounds similar to that game.
So I'm going to start off with my biggest problem with this game, because we're going to start off on the negative Nancy foot, and it is a direct mobile port. I downloaded the mobile version, and it is exactly the same. I played the Steam version. I don't know if it's going to come to Xbox. So that's kind of my biggest problem, is that they didn't really seem to change much for the mobile to PC version, and I felt like they maybe could have done more with that. I'm not sure what, but it just seems like
maybe that's the question. They kind of looked at it and went, I don't know what we can do with this.
Yeah, I mean, it could be, but it just seems like, you take it straight from mobile and throw it onto PC. I don't know.
Yeah, there's definitely room to expand and do different things with it, for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe there is much further in the game, but from what I saw, it was pretty much straight on, just mobile to PC. That being said, it plays pretty well on mobile. Upgrades and unlocks. So when I think of a shoot 'em up, I think of straight arcade. Like you don't have to make any progress or upgrade anything. If you're good at the game, you can just jump right in and you could beat the game first go if you know what you're doing. With this one, there are a number of different ships you can use, and you have to upgrade your health, your damage, etc. And so those upgrades stay, but I feel like you shouldn't have to do that. I feel like you should have the maximum. Maybe you have to unlock different ships because of different playstyles, but I don't think you should have to upgrade your health, your damage. And if you do, it could be something in the game. So you're not at an advantage or disadvantage when you start. It's just something that happens along the way. And the enemies, the way they spawn was kind of frustrating at some points. It was mostly good. And most of them move kind of as you would expect. But some of them just kind of, I want to say teleport, but they very, very quickly move across the screen without warning. So that led to a lot of deaths that I felt kind of were cheap, where they just, without really any kind of indication, just flew across the screen into your hitbox and you die. The other one, some of them would just pop up kind of without warning, very close to you, and that I didn't like. Some bullets don't come from enemies. So if you kill all the enemies on the screen before the music kind of cues the next set, there's still bullets that are just kind of coming out of nowhere, which is okay. I just thought it was kind of weird. And the enemies take a lot of shots to kill, which I mean, I'm not a shoot 'em up expert, but I just feel like in shoot 'em ups that's generally not the case. Usually, like, they're going to fire a lot of bullets at you, but if you hit them a couple times, they're going to go down. With this one, even I managed to fully upgrade my damage, and it still took some time to get rid of them. Now, on the plus side, positive parts, controls were spot on. You move the ship with a mouse. You press the mouse button to activate each ship has an ability. So the one I was playing, it slows down time. So you just click the mouse button, slows you down. You can really easily maneuver around, and in that regard, the control was spot on. Game itself was pretty fun. I mean, it's kind of mostly what you would expect from a shoot 'em up. The music was pretty good. The sequence was good. I like that about it. The hitbox is good. It's exactly what I would expect in my experience with shoot 'em ups. And in those regards, it was solid. It's got the 8-bit style. I'm still kind of on the fence with that. Not just with this game, just in general. So I'm not going to criticize it or give it. I'm just going to leave that as a neutral for this point in time till I really make up my mind on that. So with this one, I don't know. I want to put it in limbo.
It's in purgatory.
Yeah, I don't know.
So you've got the zombie chained up in your backyard, like in Shaun of the Dead, to play video games with, but you still haven't decided to kill it yet.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure. So I don't know. We'll have to decide what to do with cases like this, because it's not. I wouldn't say it's like really. I wouldn't say it's not bad. Like, it's not bad, but I wouldn't say it's like really, really the best.
Compelling.
Like,
All right. The big question is, would you play it for achievements?
Depends on how hard they were.
Okay.
If I wasn't concerned with completion, yes, I would. So.
So this has to be revisited when achievements.
Well, it does have
available?
achievements on Steam. I did pop one.
So,
I don't think they're supposed to be live yet, because they had a really add _achievement placeholder or something, like, and it had no picture. So I don't know if I was supposed to be able to unlock it or not. But I looked at the achievements on the mobile version. I was like, hey, because they wouldn't show up on Steam. Like, you couldn't click on it and see them, but it did unlock. Because I looked on the mobile version to see what they were. I assumed they were the same and popped one. So that was interesting. I guess we can give it. We'll send it to the Sanctuary You know,
Okay.
I think the
We-
what I
we
play
can-
for
we can
achievements.
We can always take him out of the sanctuary and bash him over the head.
Yeah, that's true. And so, as a bonus, the developers of Beat to Beat gave us some codes to give away. So
Oh, awesome.
we have 2 codes. This is for the Steam version. So doesn't have Xbox achievements, but
it does have Steam achievements.
have Steam
and it is true
achievements.
Steam.
and it hasn't been officially released yet, so you guys get it early. So that's a bonus. So yeah, if you want to do that, I don't know how are we going to distribute that. Do we want to do a Twitter contest, retweet, or we'll do a separate post or something, retweet it,
Yeah,
and
we'll set something up on Twitter.
yeah, we'll get something. So
So check Twitter.
yeah, check Twitter if you want
That's
to play
you too,
Beat to
Facial.
Beat. Next, Action Hank, super fun. Really like that one. Definitely has a lot of effort put into it. I mean, it is still an indie game, but the graphics are good. It looks, it's kind of cartoony, but that's what they're going for. You play as a toy on these like kind of speed running tracks made of toys. So you kind of have like the toy car tracks and blocks and stuff. And it's a lot like Doritos Crash Course. In their very short levels, with kind of an emphasis on speed running, big emphasis on speed running. And the physics are solid. The gameplay's solid. I really don't have any complaints about Action Hank.
Not even the
Wow.
leaderboard achievement?
No, that's a bonus. I love leaderboard
really?
achievements.
Oh, no.
See, that's actually why I played it. That's why I started it right away. The hardest part of Action Hank is going to be getting the rainbow medal on every track. And that's going to be tough because those times are, particularly I think on the first couple of worlds, the levels are so simple that there's almost no room for error. So those medals are going to be tough. Somebody has already done it though. So it is doable. It's possible. It's just really hard. But the game's really fun and it's really rewarding when you finally figure out how to improve your time. So that's really fun. But yes, there is a leaderboard achievement. You have to be top 1% on any level. Right now, I got it in about 3 hours today. So from never playing the game, it took me about 3 hours to get it. So if you're thinking about starting it and you want to complete it, I would do that sooner than later because it's only going to get harder. Because there are some tough times up there already. And next we got a review code for Screen Cheat, which I just played this morning. And that is a game that it's a multiplayer first-person shooter where you can see everyone's screen. So it's like you're playing split screen, even though you can play a split screen too, even though you're playing online. And what it is everybody's invisible. When you look on your screen out in the world, everyone's invisible, but you can look at everyone else's screen to see where they are. So what you have to do is you have to screen cheat to figure out where people are, which is, I think you mentioned that last show, Freem.
We
Yeah.
did with the GoldenEye. It's just brilliant. This is like I love
The concept is
of this
super
game.
cool. And I was
I remember seeing this at PAX in it was 2014, I think, was just being developed there. So yeah, it was a really interesting concept, and yeah, it's a brilliant idea for a game. A brilliant idea.
And so yeah, it has online and local multiplayer. I was playing a bit of it this morning, and it's really, really hard to get used to that. So everything is a one-hit kill also. So there's a variety of weapons. There's some melee weapons. There's like a rifle that has it's like kind of like a pistol, but you get 4 shots without reloading. Most of the weapons are only 1 shot. But the 1-shot weapons have a much wider kind of hitbox. Some of them are
sure.
explosives, so you can kill yourself too.
There's like a laser that you can shoot through walls with, I think.
Yeah, and you can kind of see, like, with the laser, it kind of takes a minute, so it shoots a white line, so you can kind of see on other people's screen if you're close. So it seems pretty fun, but I need some more time with it, so I'm definitely not going to make a decision on Screen Cheat yet. but I definitely want to. They gave us 2 codes so we can kind of get 2 of us going and playing a couple games. I think it's going to be more fun with people, because when I was playing matchmaking, it was about 50-50 people and bots, and the bots were too good. They seemed to know where you were at all times.
Inherently, they do, though.
Well,
I mean,
they do, but it was just kind of obvious that they knew where you were at all times, and it felt kind of unfair. But with other people, they kind of behave more like people, and miss shots more often, and it felt more fun with people. So
it sounds like an IDARB thing to me, like where it can be kind of fun by itself, but man, if you had 4 players local,
it would be a blast with 4 people
ridiculous.
local. Even 4 people on live, like if you were in a party together, it would kind of feel local, because you can see the split screen, which is really cool.
Sure.
Really, really cool. And I have high hopes for it, but I didn't have enough time to actually get into it this morning. So, I
played a little bit of it, but obviously it was always just like 4 controllers, because I'm a whore. But yeah, so they do have some extra game modes that are kind of interesting too, where it's like this murder mystery mode. So you have to like pull up the card, and it's like, okay, my target is the bottom right player. I have to kill them with this specific weapon to get extra points. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I played I got that in matchmaking this morning, and that was fun. That was a lot of fun. And, kind of strategically showing your cards, like, to yourself without anyone else seeing it. Because, if bottom left knows that you're hunting them, then they're going to try and kill you to not be killed. So, yeah, that was cool. And there are a lot of game modes. And I found in matchmaking, I don't know if I was just unlucky, but I kept getting the same game mode on the same map it's like you have to plant a bomb, pick up a bomb and plant it in someone's base. Which it was fun a couple times, but when I played it like 4 times back to back, it was getting old.
Right.
So I think I might have just been unlucky, but yeah, there were definitely a lot of game modes and a lot that I haven't tried yet. So
it's definitely great that they have the online multiplayer, because so many of those local co-op games, like that's all they have, and it's just they have so little redeeming value, if any at all. So.
Yeah, and definitely, like, I know a lot of people, especially as you kind of get older, you have less people that you can, you can't just have 6 people come over and play a local game all day anymore. It gets harder and harder to find people locally. I know I've definitely found that, but it's very cool, because a lot of the indie games don't have online multiplayer, and they have a lot of emphasis on co-op or split screen. But with this one, they did have that, and I think that's a huge redeeming quality in Screen Cheat.
Cool.
As long as the online actually works, halfway decent, it's definitely got some potential.
Yeah, and it definitely seemed to. From what I played, it didn't seem laggy or anything. So, yeah.
Awesome.
So we'll cover that one again. But so far, my impressions are pretty good on Screen Cheat. This is a pretty positive Shovelware Cemetery.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's going on?
I know.
You feeling that?
We need to talk about Toro or something for another day.
Save it. All right, well, let's move into our Gamerscore Bootcamp. We've mentioned it a couple times during the show already, so here it is. Today's Gamerscore Bootcamp is the Swapper. This is a dark, atmospheric puzzle platformer where the predominant mechanic is using a device affectionately called the Swapper. This device allows you to create clones of yourself that behave exactly as you do, essentially a long-distance mirror image. The puzzles are relatively straightforward, and they do a nice job playing with the mechanics presented, and are not extremely taxing. I solved most of them without the assistance of a guide, probably 90% of them, and there is a nice satisfaction in doing so, but having a video guide by your side can really help keep this completion around 2 to 3 hours. That completion is quite simple, and the True Achievements community finishes it at a 75% clip. The most challenging aspect is knowing where to go and when to go there, which again warrants a video walkthrough. The one I used is in the show notes. You can find a link there, and it's from the group at PS4 Trophies. They weren't perfect in solving the puzzles the first time, but I would stop the video anyway when I entered a room so I could give the puzzle a crack myself. The entire achievement list is completely missable. All 10 achievements are tied to finding hidden terminals throughout the world. And let me mention, these are quite hidden. I would have been hard-pressed to find them on my own, and so again, I'm glad there was a video guide available to help point the way. If you're looking for a challenge, then skip the guide and good luck. If you're looking for 1,000 gamer score in a couple of hours, then follow a video guide and punch this thing out. And that has been this week's Gamerscore Bootcamp. Fantastic. All right. Well, and now we also have some backwards compatibility news. Just a little bit. I could actually put this in Zombie News Corner as well, but EA is adding the original Plants vs. Zombies to the EA Vault. This is important because this is the first backwards compatible title in the EA Vault. And they had this ominous more to come. So is EA going to start opening the doors to more backwards compatibility? We can only hope so, right?
Well, and it's a bonus. Even if you don't have the Vault, you can still play the backwards compatible games, so that's cool.
Right. So yes, so there you have it. But EA might be feeling a little bit more comfortable with that. So another closing segment that we have, Knobs and Discos, the home for early notifications on unobtainables and discontinued. What do we have this week?
Well, unfortunately, we've got a few this week. So the Unicorn Hunter achievement in Forza 4 is partially discontinued. It's been suspected for a while. There was another submission that came in and a confirmation from Turn 10, not about it being discontinued. Well, I mean, kind of. Turn 10 is no longer distributing unicorn cars. So in order to get this achievement, you have to be the winning bidder on a unicorn car in the auction house. I think you could, that's what the description says, but I think you can also import one from Forza 3. So there was I don't know if it was a DLC for Forza 3 or 4, but there was a DLC that came with some kind of limited edition that included a unicorn car. There are still codes around, and unless you have a unicorn car from Forza 3 that you can import to 4, or you have that code, which may have been for 3, so you can import into 4, that achievement will be discontinued for you, since they're kind of exclusive cars, and Turn 10 isn't distributing anymore. Next, we have Stealth Inc. 2, a game of clones on Windows 10. It has 4 unobtainable achievements, which are the...
So we got Gone Walkabout, I believe.
Yeah.
No one has got that one.
Gone Walkabout, Snappy Threads, Stealth Lord, and the Thomas Riker Award. All of those are unobtainable, and the developer is aware of the problem and is apparently working on a patch. So we can hope that'll be fixed eventually.
I hope so, because I've already started that game.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping I could do it on Windows 10. I
had some problems with it on the console version as well, getting some of the S ranks and the chambers to register, because it's kind of weird, because you don't have to S rank, you have to do 3 different things to get the S rank overall, and you don't have to do them all in one run, but as long as you fulfill those requirements, overall, it'll, register the S rank. But when I went back in to load up the game, there was just a couple stages that whenever I would highlight them, the game would crash before it would register that S rank.
Oh, that's
so annoying. I had to keep going back in. I had to keep scrolling over it, slow enough that it would change to the S, but quick enough that it wouldn't get the game to crash. And I finally got it to register, thankfully, because that was a pretty big achievement for G-Task there in the end.
Yeah. I think, that one was Games with Gold, wasn't it?
I don't believe so.
Oh. Maybe I don't have that one. I think I'm confusing it with So Many Me.
Yeah.
I don't know why. But anyway. And the last one is Fusion Dots Windows 8. Every achievement is unobtainable. All 8 of them.
Nice.
So something is wrong with the game has achievements in it, but they're just not working right, or they're not totally live or something. But yeah, so if you're playing Fusion Dots in Windows 8, you're not going to be getting any achievements. A whopping 0 tracked gamers have it, and obviously nobody has completed it. So hopefully Game Troopers will get that one fixed, but who knows. And that concludes Knobs and Discos for this week.
Fantastic. All right, we got a little bit. We got one item to talk about for game delay, and it is Mass Effect Andromeda is officially pushed into 2017. We're here in early in Q1, so January, February, March time frame. We'll see. I think it originally was supposed to be this holiday, not so much. And moving into the zombie news corner, Dead Island Definitive Collection has surfaced. It is bringing up-resing all of the Dead Islands into one little collection. So you'll have Dead Island and Dead Island Riptide. They're going to have new textures and models and lighting effects. They do say that there's performance enhancements, so hopefully you don't have as many of the comical bugs and issues that you had on the old-gen versions. Maybe they'll fix the sound stuff where it literally sounds like zombies are always right behind you. They could be halfway across the map and they just groan like they're right next to you. I don't know. There will be the DLCs in there. And then that Dead Island Retro Revenge that we didn't know what it was, it's in here. And apparently it is a pixelated side-scrolling beat-em-up style minigame. I don't know what that means, but that sounds interesting.
Now that does not.
I'm thinking like old school Double Dragon.
That'd be interesting.
I'm
yeah.
thinking Shovelware Cemetery.
There you go. Now this collection does not include Escape Dead Island, correct?
Correct.
Good.
It does not.
Good. Never play that
It is not
game.
in
Do
there.
not ever play that game.
I keep seeing that game for like $5 new, and I'm just
Yep.
like, I should get it and just never open it. Just add it to my collection. But
Another
it's like
Deep Silver
There you go.
classic. Just
think it's in my backlog.
terrible.
we should do like Deep Silver Shovelware Cemetery because really, like everything is just like, yeah, just shovel it in. Yeah, someone will buy it.
For those of you who are interested, the release date is May 31st. For $40, you can get the collection, or you can get the digital-only versions for $20 each, although I'm not sure if Dead Island Retro Revenge is purchased individually or not. So that I can't see. But there you have it. That is your Zombie News Corner for the week, and I think that wraps up our show for the week. So thanks again for listening, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed it. Redemption Denied, the newest member of the 1 Million Gamerscore Club. Thank you so much for being on the show. Any parting words? Anything you want to leave with?
Thanks for
anything you want to plug?
Thanks for having me. I guess you can check out. I don't really stream on Twitch that often. I have such a weird work schedule, and most of what I do I don't really think is worth watching. But I did highlight the video of me kind of getting screwed over at the end there on my little finale. So if anybody wants to check that out, they can check out my Twitch channel highlights just to see the epic failure of not quite getting where I wanted to be, how I wanted to get there. But yeah.
Absolutely. And those of you who are looking, that is Redemption Denied, one word, and you're missing the E after the D. So REDMPTIONDENIED.
There you go.
Redemption Denied.
And that link to that video will be in the show notes.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about spelling it.
All right, cool.
But that E is going to throw you off, because I've searched for you with the E before, and that's a failure.
Well, I actually find the spell checker is the most annoying part of that. You go to type it in, and it's just like it corrects it. Like, no, I did mean
Yeah,
that.
tries to
Yeah,
fix
I always have that problem. I'm trying to sign into devices like, no, spell it wrong. Come on.
See, I've just got mine turned off. So
See, that's smart. That's smart. So, yes, all of our awesome listeners, you've already do such a fantastic job of retweeting the show, spreading the word, letting everyone know about it. Anything you can do to help us like that is so appreciative, so thank you very much for doing it. We love when we can get some ratings to help grow the show to the maybe not so much achievement hunting community. They might be interested in the show, too. I don't know. We are pretty darn achievement focused, but we talk about other fun things as well, like mugs and random crap. That's always great. So if you can leave those reviews, we totally appreciate it. Our website, Z2Z.com, ZEDTOZED, is where you can find those show notes. We put our credits and links to everything that we talk about during the show. Very meticulous. thank you so much to Terrigan for handling that, and Joe last week put our show notes together. So thanks, Joe. You can also contact us at Twitter at Z2Z. I'll spell it one more time: ZEDTOZED. Our email at contact@Z2Z.com works. True Achievements has a leaderboard for the Z2Z podcast where we send out information on the new shows, and could be a great forum for me to send out those contest ideas I was talking about. Or if we ever fire up that community forum type thing, which we're kicking around that idea as well. We've got a lot of fun things we're talking about. So yeah, TrueAchievements.com helps us out a ton. You can also see it on Facebook too. We have a Facebook group. It is a closed group, but you're more than welcome to join, and I will approve pretty much everybody who shows up. I do want to thank all of the other achievement hunting sites out there that help us so much. TrueAchievements.com, the Achievement Hounds community and podcast, XboxAchievements.com, the Xbox Roundtable with Macca and all his guides. And if you do have any other dedicated sites or YouTube channels or things, thank you so much for all of your hard work. Last but not least, Microsoft for giving us this awesome console that's going to turn into a Voltron